No part-time township employees. You have to work 26 hours.
Our buddy is back. Good to see you.
Yeah, look at
Oh,
that.
he's here.
But the screen,
He lost a lot of weight.
He did.
Holy shit. You couldn't stay away, huh? I thought you weren't coming.
Good to see you.
you look great.
Glad to have him back.
As long as he doesn't take any headers.
Really, I'm nervous when I see people.
Told him I picked him up. Got my lawsuit. Did you get yours? You get your lawsuit?
Yeah, because it's covered.
Happy nail together.
The bookies are the ones who want to know.
Well, what they know is they'll tell you what.
Did they ever appeal to the township, the land use board decision?
Yeah.
Or did they just go to the court?
Yes. I think there was a settlement at one point about, just minor. She's just looking for punitive damage. She doesn't have the money.
Oh, she lost a lot of money that she.
Okay, you're here.
They screwed her over. Those are bad people.
Better, but I've been.
County got it.
Been worse.
That was at the Joneses' house.
No, I said, I gotta sit and then stand up again, so I wanna stay up.
Lewis.
Too much work.
Stand until you have to sit.
Mount
After
Holly.
we get started, I'm gonna make a statement. That's it.
Every meeting and kill me.
He goes to the county meetings.
Sometimes after introductions.
No, he goes to the county meetings
After roll call,
too.
if you fine. You just say.
Are you gonna,
Freehold.
announce early this
Yes, when we get there.
adjournment?
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't, yeah, I know all about it.
So once you announce that adjournment, and we have discussions, and we talk about it. Probably be the best, wouldn't it?
We have,
Yeah, after that adjournment.
After you get adjournment or something like that, discussion.
yeah,
Or you can wait till,
committee can,
I might not be here, that's at the end. I'm
yeah,
gonna be,
you're gonna leave right
I'm
away.
probably gonna leave it.
We'll get you in.
But there's no point in me hanging around the board meetings, you know?
How are you?
I'm gonna wait for everybody, because I can't hear you.
How are you, sir?
all
Good to see you. Better, but I've been worse. Good to have you back.
It's so good to see you.
How much you lose? How much weight you lose?
Whenever you're ready.
You're ready.
Yeah.
And, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're ready, right?
All right.
Yep, we're good.
Call to order, please. We'll all rise for the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Seibert, could you make your usual announcement?
Notice of this meeting was published in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Okay. And the other announcement is that there will be no new business, meaning new cases, taken up for discussion after 10:30 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Klaus?
Here.
Mr. McKay?
here.
Mrs. Kelly?
Here.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Here.
Mr. Tricoci? Absent. Mrs. Tyndall? Absent. Mrs. Baggio? Absent. Ms. Cosco?
Here.
Mr. Novarita? Absent. Mr. Bradley?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Here.
And Mr. Krollpfeifer?
Here. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir.
Will we have a quorum after Mrs. Gilmore and Mr. Klaus leave?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we have seven.
Pardon?
We have seven when they step away.
Yeah, okay. And for the public, they have to recuse themselves because they also sit on the township council, and use variances require that they not hear the cases. Do you want us to call you at the end of the cases, or are you going to head out?
I have to head out. I have
Okay.
another
Yeah,
meeting.
I'll head out, but I'll make sure I message Mrs. Tiber.
Okay. All right. Did you want to do your now? or-
Why don't you do do this first, and then
Okay.
I'll respond to it. That'd be great.
Okay, we have 5 cases listed on the agenda, but 2 of them will not be heard tonight. A, C, and
No,
D.
not A, sir.
I mean, I'm sorry, A, B, and D. will be
It just,
heard tonight.
it will be C and E will not be heard.
What is it?
C and
Yeah.
E.
And, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I got them written right, but I read them wrong.
That's okay.
Okay, let's deal with case B quickly, not to jeopardize the other people, but we just want to get them out of the way. It's a use variance. Wait, am I in the right place? 3 Mary Ways?
The first one is a homeowner, case A, on the first page.
That's Broad Street, right?
Yes.
That's being continued? No.
No, we're going to hear
we're
that.
doing
That's
it.
the first case.
So the ones that are being continued is C and E, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so C,
Well, B is a continuation from last month's meeting, but they're here tonight.
okay,
We're just not going to hear C and E.
all right, so we're postponing C, which is the JDBB Marne Highway use variance request, right?
Correct.
And that's Vincent Diella, attorney. He has requested a postponement, and we're going to have to postpone it. He's asking for October, but we've got too much in backlog, and we can't jeopardize the people who had their applications in first. So we're going to postpone it to the November meeting, and they will have to re-advertise everything in accordance with the law, bylaws. Yes, Mrs.
Could you
Correct.
put your microphone
Yeah.
a little closer, please?
Sure. Okay, so we need a motion to postpone the case B to October.
November.
November, sorry, thank you.
You have to specify the date.
They have to re-advertise for that.
You still should specify the date.
Okay. I'll tell you in 1 second. November 1st.
I'll make a motion, we reschedule case 23-14 to November 1st. Do I need to mention that they need to re-advertise?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not the one?
No,
Which one?
C.
Oh. Oh, you're getting me confused here. I thought we're postponing,
C and E.
C,
C and E.
I'm sorry,
C.
case 2306, postponed until November 1st with the applicant re-advertising. C and E is being,
Just-
okay.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
Second.
We don't have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have one, two. Any questions on the motion?
Can we have discussion on this?
That's,
Okay. Mr. Chairman, my problem is very simple. This applicant has delayed us 3 times in a row. Can we have some type of rule, maybe Mr. Kingsbury can advise us on it, that if they delay 2 times in a row, they're kicking everybody back, and the township can't get its business done, and there are other applicants, it's not fair to them because they can't get their business done. So I would appreciate it if you can consider some type of rule so that once they delay 2 times, they go to the back of the line.
We have a resolution that says if they postpone 2 times, that you can postpone it again, but they have to re-advertise.
But then they're allowed 3 times, and what happens is the business doesn't get done. We have people that have been kicked back to no fault of their own. So can we change that to 2 times?
I don't see why we...
I don't think it's fair to the other applicants in our town.
What was that, Mr. Kingsbury?
That's not for here.
Dismiss without prejudice, but I think it amounts to the same thing.
So we could just make it a practice that after 2 times, we dismiss without prejudice?
And maybe what we can do is, because I know that this issue has come up in the past, maybe between this evening and next month's meeting, Bob and Paul Paula and Kathy, you know, we can sort of get our heads together and come up with a couple of options or recommendations of ways to make sure that this doesn't continue.
That'd be good, because I don't think it's fair to the other people that are trying to get on the agenda and they keep getting bumped.
All right.
All right, well, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, so noted. A roll call, please?
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. McKay,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Costco,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
and Mr. Krollheifer.
Yes. The next continuance is Case E, Longbridge Farms. The applicant has withdrawn for tonight and requested that they be moved to the next meeting, which would be October 4th. So we need a motion and second to postpone. This does not require re-advertising.
They don't have to advertise because
Yeah.
it's just final.
Right.
Oh, I'll make a motion that we reschedule case 18-04C. And do we have a date for that one?
4th, October 4th.
October 4th, without re-advertising.
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions on the motion? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mayor Klaus,
Yes.
Mr. McKay,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Yes.
Ms. Costco,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
and Mr. Krollheifer.
Yes. Okay, Case A, 23-14, Timothy Schwartzoff. Step forward, please. You're both going to have to be sworn in, so face Mr. Kingsbury. No, you don't have to move, you can stay right there.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that testimony you give tonight is the truth,
Okay.
the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Okay, how may we help you?
Looking to get a variance for, I guess I'd call it a slight bump out on our kitchen and an addition to our back. I'm glad you guys got some pictures here because we've got a really small kitchen that's been kind of difficult to use over the years. The two of us live there by ourselves. It's really a great house for two people, but that kitchen has been a problem for quite some time. We love Hainesport, and we want to stay here forever until you drag us out, but we would really love to be able to basically just bump our kitchen out 3 feet to the left and add an additional room behind it, which would be about 16 feet by 9 feet, and would really open up our backyard to us, which we really love. We put a lot of work into it. I'm a landscaper. She does most of the work actually back there, but when you look at our kitchen, you just kind of see that there's basically just a door that you can kind of open to a screen door and get a little bit of a view out there, but we would really love to open it up. There's an awful lot of houses that are twins in our immediate vicinity that have all, I don't want to say all of them, but a lot of them had bump outs already. And
You're over on Broad Street between the post office and the school, right?
yes, sir. Matter of fact, we're right across the street from the circular drive of the school. So, you know, we're right on the street. That circular drive area with the buses and during school functions, I mean, it's a pretty busy area. So that back part would give us a little bit of a, you know,
Yeah.
nice little spot back there.
No, I have to disclose that I was at your property looking at it, and that's why I asked you the question I asked, because I knew the answer coming. And so you're only extending on the first floor
Yes.
level with just the kitchen bump out?
Absolutely.
All right, does anybody on the board have a question? Mrs. Newcomb?
Statement?
Sure.
Okay, so they are here for expansion of a pre-existing conforming structure, which twins are no longer allowed in the R2 zone. They have a bulk variance, obviously, for the setbacks and an impervious coverage, which is noted in their denial and in their advertisement. It is very consistent with the neighborhood. You'll notice in your packet that I gave you that I tried to do the best to give you an idea of the surrounding neighborhood versus theirs. Even to the point, at the last page is the Google shot, which shows the existing homes that are next to them. And then a couple pages before, we have existing homes that already have bump outs. This is one of our older neighborhoods in Hainesport. So again, they're coming for several different things. It doesn't seem to be hurting the intent of the neighborhood because it is similar in those issues, or those existing homes around them. So if you have any questions on the pictures, I'm sure that one of us could answer them for you.
And I would think the addition you're putting on, the property's gonna be as neat as it looks right now in the front. You keep it
absolutely. Yeah.
Very nice. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, anybody else have any questions of the applicant?
No, the proposal is a good one, design is a good one. I would support it.
Okay, well, we need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to grant 2314
Bulk and use variance.
bulk and use variance.
I'll second it. Huh? Oh, he did, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Costo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
And Mr. Colway?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any other questions for us?
Yes, we'd be able to get
Waiver.
yes. Sorry.
Any of your neighbors here?
They do understand that
Pardon?
what the,
Yeah. Your neighbors like you?
Yes. If you've kind of seen our little
I do
swath
know
of
that
land
for a
there, we've
fact.
kind of been improving steadily and just trying to, we'll always maintain a nice property. for-
We just have to caution you that technically you can't start anything until you get the resolution, and that won't come till next month.
Okay.
But if you start the work, it's at your peril till you get the motion. But it's not a problem with us, it could be a problem with someone else.
Terrific.
But,
I'll,
okay,
did we vote on this yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
We're
so
getting there.
I'll amend my resolution to include a waiver to start construction. When can they start it? With the waiver, when can they start it? Tomorrow?
Whenever they're ready to go.
Are they allowed to start it?
Sure won't start that
I mean, is
fast,
there a
but
waiting
soon as
period
possible.
for the waiver? I
Get the
forget
finished
now.
drawings.
I've only been here a couple days. So, yeah, you could, I'll make my motion to grant a waiver to start construction.
Thank you.
okay, a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions on that portion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Cosco?
yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
And Mr. Colway?
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate the
Well, good luck.
opportunity, and thank you so much to
Yeah.
Kathy and Paula through this whole process. I mean, it's the most,
Yeah.
I mean, I've dealt with townships, and this is about the best you can ever
We're-
hope for, so.
We're both from Mount Laurel, that's where we both grew up, and moved here. I just wanted to make sure that I say that we just both love this township. And we love the small living, we love our neighborhood, and then in addition, it just makes it that much better to deal with these wonderful women over here. I walked in here the first time and I was so scared, and they've just made this like just
No, we don't want you to be scared. We all
No.
live in
I feel like we
Hainsport,
need a
too.
variance, we need, it's just, it's not our realm of expertise, so they've made it very easy. Thank you.
Good, thank you, thanks for your comments. Good luck.
You should have started with that.
Well, he has it on his,
I tried, but he kept
that he loves Hainsport.
Okay, next is
Good luck.
case 2310, also known as 3 Mary Way, a bulk and use variance. Counselor Didich, am I saying that right?
Duke, and that's okay. That's why the
Duke.
firm is called Katie Law. So,
Okay.
for the record, my last name is spelled Diduch and pronounced Duke. You can call me Kevin, please.
Okay, could you have any of your witnesses, how many are you going to have?
I do. I've got 2 new witnesses tonight.
Okay, can you have them sworn in together, please?
Yes, we certainly can. We certainly can. The first of these witnesses will be Mr. Douglas M. Hanley, Jr., who is a civil engineer from Dynamic Engineering. He's standing in the tall black suit, waving, and also Mr. Alexander McLean is a professional planner from Forum Planning, and he is to my right.
Okay?
Now,
Do you want to have them sworn in, please?
yes, if you could, raise your right hand, gentlemen.
How many witnesses do you have?
We have two at this juncture, two.
Swear or affirm testimony you give tonight will be the truth, the truth, and the truth.
That's right. So, we have a little bit of a record already on our hands based on the last hearing, but just for the board's recollection, this is an application involving property that's designated in the town as 3 Mary Way in Hansport. Presently, it's located on Block 98, lots 2.04. It is in the industrial zone of the town. The applicant's property is a 3.06 acre parcel, currently containing a 30,000 square foot
Counselor, do you
commercial
mind
warehouse.
just leaning forward to the
Yes.
microphone a little better?
Can you
please?
hear me now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a 30,000 square foot warehouse in the, on this property that's currently housing ABC Supply Company. The applicant's proposing to construct a 6-foot fence around the rear boundary of the property. We have submitted a fence plan that outlines that. It's better than the last fence plan that outlined that, so we hope that it's a clearer depiction of the sort of relief that we're looking for, who goes what and where. We're also looking to create an outside storage area surrounded by a chain link fence. And as far as that is the basis of the application. I do have Mr. Henley here, who can testify to the basis of the application, as well as present the map that's been provided to you as part of the application. So I would ask him to take it away.
Counselor, do you have anybody here from the company?
You know, we were requested to have an individual from ABC Supply here, because they're the tenant to my client, who's the applicant. I do believe, and speaking with Ms. Newcomb, who's so nice, by the way, that she actually had a chance to speak with a representative from ABC Supply as of today. I don't want to take the words totally out of her mouth, but I believe there's been a level of satisfaction with respect to what was presented to her.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have a question of you. Since
Certainly.
you started this and said they want to use the area for storage. I did visit the property.
Okay?
The storage is already there.
Well, what you have to remember, Mr. Chairman, is that this is a violation notice.
Okay, well, that's what I was getting at.
Right, this is a violation notice, so that's why, with all this stuff is already there. And I
Okay.
did reach out to, I went and spoke to ABC Supply over a week and a half ago, along with their attorney, and I had anticipated that there would be somebody here from their, I should say the manager should be here. So, I don't know, he knows what time it was supposed to be here,
Okay.
so.
I also have to state that I was also at the property and visited it.
Okay. Thank you.
Counsel, just to recap,
Certainly.
just to recap from last week, this outdoor storage is, can I describe it as staging every night for pickup the following day?
That's correct.
And then repeat that on a
That
roughly
is
daily
correct.
basis?
On a rolling basis is what I would, how I would describe that.
Right, okay.
So,
I don't mean to get into, or argumentative.
No,
But the
certainly
stuff
not.
that I saw there 3 days ago was still there 2 days ago.
okay,
So I don't know what you're talking about, because
3
there's a lot
days.
of roofing material,
certainly,
barrels,
Right.
you know.
right.
All right,
So,
I'll-
no, Mr. Chairman, listen, if you have a concern about what the applicant's proposing, I want to hear it. We sort of want to solve the problems before they get to a head, so.
Okay.
You did say that if it didn't go out the next day, it might go out the next day, and it might go out the next day after
Right.
that you weren't going to necessarily move it back inside.
That's correct. That's correct.
You were going to wait for the, I guess, routing of the truck to...
Yes, and the shipping process is such that, you know, someone would come, whether it be from a local distributor or a client directly that's dealing with ABC Supply, to take those materials
What
off.
exactly are you leaving out there? Is it roofing?
It's primarily roofing products. 'cause
Roofing
they're-
shingles?
It's shingles. I don't believe there's any siding there. I do have Corey Nagelberg, who is the property manager's representative for the applicant itself, who might be able to testify more clearly to that. I certainly don't want to speak for him, but I could also have him up here as a witness as well, if you'd like.
Is he here?
He is.
Oh, okay.
He is, yes. If I could have Mr.
You
Nagelberg.
you don't have to get to it now, whenever you
Okay.
want to, but I'd like to, I know I'd like to hear the answer to that question by,
Well, while it's fresh on our mind, why don't we just sort of do it? Because then
you- you'll have to step forward to the podium, and
Yeah.
Mr. Kingsbury will swear you in.
Raise
Thank
your
you.
hand, please. You swear or affirm the testimony you give tonight to be the truth, the truth, and the truth, so help you
I do.
God. Your name, please?
Corey Nagelberg,
You have to spell it out.
Nagelberg.
And
you.
Mr. Nagelberg, you work for ABC Supply?
No, I work for the landowner, Farrow Point, here recognized as FRGX NJ. And we work with ABC Supply. We are the management company for the property. The materials that they store may look the same day after day because they deal in a limited range of materials. So you could come back day after day. It may not be the same pallet, but it may look identical because it's generally the same roofing insulation they sell. They sell the same products that move quickly. So I recognize your point, Mr. Chairman, that it may look like it's the same product that could be there for a day or 2 days or even longer, but it is not the same exact pallet because it's the same items, if that makes any sense.
turnaround time is about
The average turnaround time exactly is 2 or 3 days or less.
Well, I appreciate the clarification, and I have to say, I did see it twice over the past weekend, so maybe no business then, and they just sat there from Friday till
with the holiday.
Tuesday.
and-
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for,
Yeah, and this might
Please.
clarify, so, and I know that there was some confusion at the last meeting because there were 3 dumpsters that were out there. Have the dumpsters been removed?
I'm not sure as of today if they have been removed. I did not have a chance to drive by today. We've asked them to move them from there.
There was also scaffolding and I believe some either trucks or lifts or equipment of some, I thought there was another machine of some sort there last month.
I mean, they use a forklift on daily operation. There's machinery used on daily operations to move product,
But that's not stored outside.
not overnight, no.
So what you're requesting tonight, there are no storage or shipping containers, correct?
Correct.
There are no trucks or other heavy equipment or
No,
scaffolding or anything?
no.
No dumpsters? So you're only asking to store inventory?
That is
That
my
is correct.
understanding, yes.
yes, it would be described as inventory.
Rotating inventory?
Yes.
Kathy is going to have to work with ABC Supply or whoever moves in there after that. And if it's other than that, then there's going to, be a trip back to the board or.
And I think that's fair, Mr. Taylor, because, if ABC Supply all of a sudden decides they want to switch from roofing to toilets, it's a different kind of product they're storing outside and certainly changes the nature and scope of the use. So I think that's appropriate.
I have a general question.
Yes, sir.
Has to do with the storage area. The storage area, you indicated that it's a shaded area beyond the fire zone. In between the fire zone and the building, there's a space. I assume that's a workspace and that there's no storage going on there?
That's correct. Yeah, that is correct.
So in that case, that's why there's no striping there because it's active in and out those doorways.
Sort of an ingress and egress point.
Loading and maneuvering.
That's correct.
Yes.
And for purposes of this discussion, can we define the product as roofing
I
material?
think general contracting supplies for residential and commercial roofing would be the scope of,
Okay.
when I say contract supplies, I mean material used in the operation of repairing or otherwise replacing residential or commercial roofs. Not any equipment associated therewith, so no tools, no ladders and things of that nature, just really
So
things.
that's the definition of product inventory,
I believe so.
AKA inventory.
I believe that's a fair
Discussed.
definition, yeah.
Fine.
Okay, with all due respect, I think one of you two should take a look
Take a look at the,
at the property for
At
what's
this type
in
of
the
property.
storage area,
that's fine.
okay? Because we're covering some items that were out there one time when I was there.
Understood.
So, I'm not saying anybody's a liar, I'm just saying
This is,
something was there when I saw it, and...
you know, I guess other lawyers take a different approach. I always think of these things as an open discussion. Because really, the reality is, I have a client that wants to be a part of the town and wants to do the right thing, so that Ms. Newcomb can go to other properties and do her thing in the way that she does it, and you guys can help other folks in this town. So I'm okay. It's, if there's something that you've seen or done, I'm probably the first person to call the client and tell them they need to change their ways. So I appreciate the candor, and I appreciate the openness and the dialogue.
Right, thank you.
So one of the things that I have an issue with, and I stated it last time, is the reality is that this particular business has a lot of trash, okay?
Right.
Point blank. The outside refuge, outside of the fencing, was set up years ago when the Stevens had the property, came to the board for the general trash for most of the clients in there. One of the things that I had stated was that if they need 2 dumpsters, I mean, like, 15-yard, whatever the case may be, I feel like that should have been, and I'm not sure if I see anything in here except on item 4, is that if they're not going to be asked for, then that's going to be a problem for me, enforcement, because when I see them, there's an automatic notice then. The reality is that they're going to need them, unless they plan on keeping them inside. The fact is that I don't want this to become a cat and mouse game for my zoning office in order to go, okay, you have them there one day, the next day they're gone. Corey and Farraport are well aware of the issues that I have out on this particular site in general, not just 3 Mary Way, but the whole site.
Certainly.
So what I guess, what I'm asking for is that, is the applicant looking for 2 30-yard dumpsters? Are they looking for 3? Let's be realistic, is that the amount of trash that this place has, what are they going to use then if they don't request that?
Right, and I appreciate the comment, because the storage area that we have, we've sort of defined the scope of what's there, and it's not trash until we can put it somewhere else, right? So.
Well, they have a lot of coverings on this job. They have been in
Okay.
town for a very long time.
Sure.
And I appreciate them, and the fact is that they have been good tenants in general.
Good.
Okay? The issue is that they've grown. These refuge areas that are outside their fencing area is not meant for them on a daily basis. The amount of trash that they get from all the containers, it's not. I've seen it. I've been watching it.
Okay.
So I need to find out, or the applicant, or somebody has to talk about this particular issue, because this is one of the bigger issues for me all over
Certainly.
town. They're not the only ones, believe me.
Okay.
But I don't want to have to keep coming back to them all the time, because it's that their business requires this. So I really need to know whether or not that this is something that's going to be asked at the board, or how this is going to be handled. I don't want this to be coming back.
I think we can address it probably either tonight or as a condition of approval.
Okay.
I think that's fair, right? I think
I don't
about it in
disagree, but that's up
totality.
to the board.
If the client decides not to move forward with the dumpsters and gets called back here, they got to call their lawyer. It's great for my kid's college fund. It's not great for them in the long term. So I would much rather resolve the issue now as something that's reasonable, that we can all agree upon.
I agree.
And I don't think it's a heavy ask to have a dumpster at some point. There's one, I believe, that's off, or relatively off-site. And I think the last meeting, we had a conversation about putting an enclosure there for that. I believe that was also part of the dialogue.
Can you explain relatively off-site?
You know, that's a great question. It was described to me as relatively off-site.
Okay.
So, guys, I'm not going to guess at it. I'm going to call Mr. Nagelberg back up to address sort of where this is in relation to the map that you see.
Thank you, Counselor.
You're welcome.
As Ms. Newcomb indicated, it is immediately adjacent to the fencing plan. So it's at sheet 5. The current dumpster enclosure is, you look on the right, the inset fence plan, is this area here, just to the right of the area. That is the existing dumpster enclosure. It is immediately outside of the proposed fence.
Now, if I could ask, Ms. Newcomb, in relation to where that dumpster is, where's the trash? Is the trash away from that area? Is moving the dumpster closer to where most of the trash is stored a concern or an option here?
So the issue is that the existing one that's outside of the fence area, it's a concrete one that was approved years ago with Stevens.
Right.
So that is for basically general office uses of any of the tenants to throw their waste in. Where ABC Supply is literally right next door to that, with inside that fencing are the dumpsters, the large ones, the red ones. The fact is, you have to be realistic, is that how are they being taken in and out from the truck that picks them up? I can't tell you, that's a site issue in regards to if the board allows them or doesn't, whatever the case may be, but we have to be realistic, is that how is this traffic going to move for these dumpsters, these trucks, to accommodate our requirements versus what the tenant needs?
Okay. And I think Mr. Hanley can speak to that, at least in part, in terms of where things are and how that might affect the circulation that you're talking about.
Correct.
I would ask Mr. Hanley if he could, to the best of his ability, for Ms. Newcomb's benefit, for everybody's benefit, maybe talk a little bit about where the trash enclosure is and how that might impact the circulation. And Mr. Taylor, I would invite any comments from you and Mr. Miller as well, any feedback that you might have.
I think the big question is, obviously, Ms. Newcomb has experience of the volume that's generated out
Sure.
there. Currently, your application does not propose any additional refuse storage inside the fence compound area.
Sure, I get that.
Your application is only to store inventory there.
Correct.
So the question is, are you going to make it work without any additional in there and just use the existing and move it out daily?
I believe,
Or do you want to amend the application to include an additional enclosure and dumpster inside the storage area? So that's really all sort of in your court.
no, I understand. I understand. I don't want to speak out of turn. I would like a moment to speak with my client about that. I don't know if we want to go off the record and come back, or how you want to handle that. But I want the right answer so that we're here once and getting it done.
Why don't you move forward?
Will do.
Because there may be another question you'll have to ask your client.
Certainly, certainly.
Okay.
We're going to start off tonight's testimony with Mr. Hanley describing basically the site map that you have before you and outlining where the trash enclosure, I apologize, strike that, where the inventory enclosure will be, as well as the other fencing on the property. So, Mr. Hanley, if you could please.
Could, Counselor?
Yes.
You voir dire the witness, please?
I'm sorry?
What's his professional credentials?
Oh, certainly. You know what? I believe Mr. Hanley can speak to this, but Mr. Hanley, if you could, for the board's information, have him sworn in as a professional, because I don't believe he's appeared before this board before. If you could just provide the board with some of your credentials as a civil engineer.
Sure, before I do that, is this a good spot for the boards? Or do you want me to slide more? I don't want to block anybody out of the way.
Yeah, please.
Sure. I'll leave them there and I'll talk here. So my name is Douglas Hanley. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and I've testified before various land use boards throughout the state, although this is my first opportunity in front of Hainsport.
Okay. Any questions for any board members? If not, is acceptable, Counselor.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
To jump in, just to get a couple things on the record, the first sheet on my easel over there is the aerial map. That is an exact copy of the plan that was submitted as part of our submission package, so I don't think there's a need to mark it as an exhibit.
Well, it's being presented to the board as part of its consideration. Yes, it's in your application. If we could, Mr. Chairman, just for purposes of the record, let's have that admitted as A1, please.
Sure. So this
Thank
will be Exhibit A1, and it is the aerial map dated 8/24/2023, prepared by Dynamic Engineering, and it's sheet 209.
And it's also number 2 in our packets.
Correct, that's the same exact sheet that's on the easel there. So we're here tonight talking about Block 98, Lot 2.04, which is 3 Mary Way. The property is approximately 3.1 acres in size, and it has access to Mary Way. The site is currently developed with an approximate 40,000 square foot industrial building with parking and loading in the front and rear of the property. For purposes of this exhibit, if I start referring to directions, north is to the top of the sheet. So the front and rear would be towards the top and bottom of that sheet. The property is located in the I zone where warehousing is permitted. It's located within a business park with access to Mary Way, which is directly to the property's north. The property has other similar industrial uses to the north and east. It's important to note the property to the north has substantial outdoor storage areas, as you can see towards the northeast portion of the sheet. It almost takes up a quarter of the sheet of outdoor storage. To the south, you have the GC, General Commercial Zone, with Route 38 beyond. And to the west, or left of the sheet, you have the GC and the R1 zone. Moving to the next sheet, and we can mark this A2. This is our use variance plan prepared by Dynamic Engineering, again dated 8/24/2023, and this is sheet 5 of 9, the same sheet that's in your packet in front of you. We're here tonight seeking use variance and site plan approval for proposing outdoor storage to the south of the existing building. As mentioned, warehousing is permitted, however, the outdoor storage is not. It's approximately 9,000 square feet of outdoor storage that we're looking to propose on the existing pavement, and we're looking to surround that with a 6-foot-high chain link fence with a few gates. To help delineate the storage area, we're providing a 15-foot wide fire lane striping, and just to continue the conversation from earlier, that will help delineate between the outdoor storage area and then the working and loading area to the north of the outdoor storage. In terms of parking for the site, at the request of the township, we are proposing to stripe the existing parking on the front of the property or north, which accounts for 34 parking spaces, and we are providing 2 ADA parking spaces in the rear near the outdoor storage. The parking quantity does not meet the ordinance requirement. The ordinance requires 64 spaces, however, 36 spaces are proposed. My understanding is the tenant only has 5 or 6, let's call it under 10 employees at one time, so they don't anticipate a parking concern. And Mr. Taylor has a recommendation in his letter that if the parking demand were to change in the future, that we would either have to reduce the outdoor storage area to accommodate additional parking, or come back to the board to request a further variance, and the applicant is willing to accept that condition. In terms of loading, there are 9 existing loading doors on the building.
If I can, just so the board can follow, that's
Sure.
item number 4, or I'm sorry, wow, I got weird numbering in my report. That is the second number 3 under D.
Number 4.
Well, I should have kept my mouth shut.
It was Memorial Day weekend, Scott.
It was, did I just say that?
You've been on vacation, that's an excuse.
Yeah. So that second number 3 on page 3 addresses what Mr. Hanley was talking about, and the need for the exacerbated parking variance that was previously granted.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying. In terms of loading, there are 9 existing loading roll-up doors. There's 4 along the front of the building, 4 along the rear, and 1 along the eastern side. There's no change to the loading doors as part of this application. And then I will bring up one more sheet as part of my direct testimony. We can mark this as A3. And this is the landscape plan prepared by Dynamic Engineering, dated 8/24/2023, and this is sheet 6 of 9. We are proposing a total of 93 plantings along the southern portion of the property to the rear of the outdoor storage to help buffer the GC zone to the south. In order to address Mr. Taylor's comments, we're willing to work with him in terms of selecting the certain species that are appropriate for this location. So we'll keep a similar pattern and all of that, but we'll work with him to pick a species that'll work nicely in the township. That is all I have in terms of my direct testimony. And just to take a second to flip through Mr. Taylor's letter, I don't think there's anything that the applicant's not willing to comply with in the letter. Yeah, you mentioned the second number 3, no issues there. In terms of comments 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I would defer to the tenant or the property owner to agree to any of those stipulations. I know we'll have an off-the-record conversation about the trash enclosure, so I don't want to speak out of turn now, so I'll hold my comments on that.
And I believe just while we're sort of chronologically, it may help save some time later. Under item number 5, on page 3, the only item number 5, I think those A, B, C, and actually, I think all 5 of them were issues that were discussed at the prior hearing and agreed to and/or in our report. So I think unless Mr. Duduque has any.
No, I don't.
Those notes.
Nope,
Maybe
none at all.
conditions of approval of
Yeah,
the
that's
plan.
fine. We talked about it, we agreed upon it. That's fine.
Okay.
So I have a question, Mr. Chairman, if I may. We keep talking about dumpsters. How come we're not showing them on the plan to make life easy for Kathy?
Well,
Where you
that's-
want them?
Well, that's what we were discussing initially. We're trying to move
Right.
forward, and then we can revert back to that.
Because they still haven't proposed any.
Right,
We're.
yeah. Well, when's that gonna happen?
We're going to regroup, we're going to get through my testimony, potentially the planner's testimony, then our team is going to regroup, and we're going to come back with the perfect trash enclosure location for the board.
Now, are you with Dynamic Engineering?
Yes, I am.
Who is Mr. Ritchie?
Mr. Ritchie is one of our partners.
He was going to testify, I thought.
Yes, he was going to testify tonight, he had another hearing, I work with him, so I'm covering.
Don't have anything against you, just wanted to clarify.
Sure, not a problem. So just to continue along Mr. Taylor's letter, 6, we have no objections to providing a Knox box and noting on the plan at the gates.
Well, and that, I think is a condition, that's really a call for the fire folks here in town. So I don't know if you had discussions with that, but you'll just agree to provide whatever mechanism they so choose.
Provide and comply, yes.
Yep.
That is correct.
Yep, we will,
On the fire department review, is the striped fire lane something that the fire department should also pass on?
yes, Mr. Ritchie did work with the fire department in the 15-foot wide delineation and striping.
So we have, or we're getting a approval letter on?
We will get an updated letter as a condition of approval.
Okay.
From the fire marshal?
Right.
Yep,
So the July 19th letter is going to be superseded, but
Updated.
you're going to comply with what he's seeking.
correct.
I mean, nothing personal, but we don't want you to come back again. We want to get it done tonight, you know?
I understand. I'm with you. Now you're speaking my language.
Nothing personal, we don't want to come back. So we're on the same page here.
And just to confirm, supersede really might have it replaced. We want to supplement. We want to comply with the original letter, and then also any other comments or recommendations from the fire marshal, comply with those as well.
Okay, thank you.
Number 7, we have no objections to providing additional striping along Mary Way to help delineate those drive aisles. Number 8, yep, we will work with your office on landscaping, and that's the conclusion of Mr. Taylor's letter.
And just one other thing, Doug. Just for clarification, I think when you let off, you said use variance and site plan approval.
Okay, did I misspeak?
And I think the plan that's submitted, I think what you're requesting, because of the minor nature of this, it's use variance and a waiver of
Okay.
full site plan, because I don't think that the submission meets the full site plan checklist requirement. So I think the intent from the last hearing was it was use variance with a waiver of full site plan, provided that a use variance plan
That
be
is-
submitted that has adequate site information.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you for that clarification. And then to move over to the board engineering review letter dated July 31st, 2023. Ken, I think testimony was provided in terms of parking and loading, in terms of,
Well, you provided us with effectively a markup of we reviewed this as a compliance document for the letter.
Certainly.
We didn't have any problem with it, so I don't have any comment other than that's what I asked about that space between the fire lane and the building that wasn't delineated as any storage or parking or
Right.
anything else. And the reason for that is that it's a work area.
Right, but just to be clear, work area in the sense there's no fabrication outside. I know that was one concern raised, I believe, in Mr. Taylor's letter. So just to, I appreciate the comment, Mr. Miller, I really do. I just want to make sure that it's no outside fabrication.
No outside what?
No outside fabrication of
Okay.
materials.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
And I may have missed it, I apologize if I do. The fencing that is around, is it going to be a permanent fence? Because right now it's a temp fence. Is it going to a permanent fence where we're going to be putting them in the ground, the footings?
I understand that it's going to be a permanent fence. However, Mr. Nagelberg can confirm that.
It will indeed be a permanent fence. It's been ordered and sitting at our vendor's shop
Okay.
for 6 months. So-
I just wanted that on record.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Because I know the fire official will ask that as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Understood.
Counselor, on the subject of the fence, is somebody going to show us where the fence is going?
Yes.
Sure. Let me bring back Exhibit A2. And I will again reference the fence in section to the bottom right of the sheet. And starting at the western portion, there's going to be approximately 14 feet of fence and a swing gate towards the bottom left of the building, if you will, the southwest corner. That'll close off that portion. The remaining west and southern property lines are already fenced, and then the remainder of the fence will occur near the entrance to the outdoor storage area along the southeastern portion of the building, where there will be a fence that runs north to south with 2 slide gates to open into the outdoor storage area, a 15-foot slide gate and a 20-foot slide gate. And then the fence from there will continue to run south to the rear of the existing trash enclosure, which we were referencing, that is in the shared drive aisle between the 2 buildings, and then it runs in an east to west direction to tie into the existing fence behind the existing trash enclosure. So essentially, it will be secured on 360 degrees, but they're looking to close it on the northwest portion of the outdoor storage and then the southeast portion of the building.
On that little map in the corner there, can you show me where the fence is going to be?
Yep. If you follow my finger, in the southeast corner of the building is going to run essentially from the southeast corner of the building down to the existing trash enclosure. In a very similar location, if you were at the site this weekend, where the temporary fence is, that's give or take going to be replaced with a permanent fence with slide gates.
What I would suggest for the fire official, because obviously he's not here, Mr. Myers, is that you want to touch bases with him before this fence and gate are put in permanently, just in regards to his fire truck and, you know, the township's fire equipment.
The turn radiuses. And
Correct.
all
So
of that.
I think it'd be a good idea to touch bases with him before you start that.
Okay, certainly.
Absolutely, and receiving his approval letter prior, as a part of resolution compliance, will ensure that the fence doesn't
Should
go in
address
until.
it, but he should.
Right, I want to make sure in his initial letter that he didn't talk about anything yet on that, so.
Yep, we'll get something specific to that.
Thank you.
Now, the facility to the east of where you are that's hers, right? Hers?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Does that appear on, are they off that map there, or?
They are just on this portion of A2, but if I bring up the aerial map, you'll see it a little more clear.
And that would be A1.
Okay. And there's a drive lane between those 2 buildings?
Correct, there's a drive lane and there's a 25-foot wide shared access easement that runs the majority of that property line.
Okay. Thank you. One last thing while we're on it. Where's this drop box going to be for the fire marshal? You know,
Knox box.
I'm sorry, the lock box for the, get in there.
We will put it wherever the fire official requests it to be located, but typically it's located near the gate, and it will be identified by the fire official. They will know where it is in the event of emergency, and they will be able to.
And it won't
We can
affect hers at all, next door?
Say that
It
again.
won't affect hers,
That's
the
correct.
company
We'll
next
notify
door?
the neighbor.
Okay.
And we'll consult with the fire officials
Okay.
as a condition of the approval in his letter as to where this should be placed
Fine.
on the property.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Further this evening, speaking, and thank you so much, Doug, I appreciate that. Further this evening, with respect to the use variance relief that's being requested, we do have testimony from Mr. Alexander McCleary from Forum Planning. I have Mr. McCleary here, who can first put his credentials on the record, as I don't believe he's appeared before this township before. So if you could, sir, just for the board's edification, provide them with some of your background information and how you're qualified. Sure. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
My name is Alexander McLean. It's spelled McClean. I am a licensed and certified planner. I hold a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University, and I'm a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners, and I'm also licensed by the State Board of Professional Planners.
And you have appeared before boards like this before, but not ours?
I have, yeah, I'm just not before this board.
Not here, okay. Well, welcome to Hainsport.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Okay, so.
If you could just take it away with respect to the use variance.
Oh, sure. Okay, so yeah, I'll be pretty quick. I mean, I think this is not a particularly complicated request. So I'll just dive right into it. Okay. So the applicant is requesting a D1 use variance and a C1 for bulk relief to facilitate the installation of the 6-foot chain link fence and the gate to section off the rear loading area and utilize the partitioning of the rear loading area for storage. The D1 variance is for relief from the section 104-45B under Article 7 of the zoning districts and dimensional use regulations of the municipal code. The C1 bulk variance relief is related to the proposed parking space, and which is less than the 64 that is required under the ordinance. And it's also related to the screening between the daycare use to the south of the property. I'm going to dive into site suitability. We're looking at conditions and context. So since 2022, the property has been in possession of the tenant, ABC, as a supply in this industrial zone, with the current occupants having been occupying another part of the zone for several years prior. And there's an inherent need for such a use as the current tenants, for the current tenants to secure storage area in the event of space constraints within their facility. The neighboring property located directly to the north of the applicants at 25 Hainesport Mount Laurel Road is occupied by the equipment distributor company Perry Viddix LLC, which has a much broader business that ranges from manufacturing equipment, in plastics, pulp, paper, sugar, and pharmaceuticals, according to their website. And the overwhelming majority, as was indicated by the engineer, is outdoor storage that's enclosed by a chain link fence. So, this request is not, unique for this area. And the applicant's tenant, ABC, is operating a less intense commercial use that is narrowly focused on roofing materials. So the relative demand for storage is obviously less than the neighboring property. All right. In regard to positive criteria, negative criteria that was cited and called out by Mr. Taylor in his letter. So the positive criteria requires it's an enhanced quality proof. It requests the requested variance relief is not inconsistent with the intent and purpose of the municipality's master plan and zoning ordinance. The property is adjacently located to a deciduous forest, and the location of the proposed storage area behind the main structure make the site ideal for storing non-hazardous materials, which this is, and out of view without interfering with the surrounding uses in the area. The industrial zone has already permitted storage, making the proposed use a natural extension of the existing use permitted in the zone. The proposed use would essentially be an expansion of an existing legal use, carries out the following purposes of the zoning set forth in the MLUL under the state statute 4055D2, particularly purpose D, which is to ensure the development of individual municipalities that does not conflict with the development and general welfare of neighboring municipalities, the county, and the state as a whole, because the proposed use does not interfere with the surrounding areas and is out of sight. Also, it advances purpose G of the MLUL, which is to provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses in open space, both public and private, according to their respective environmental requirements in order to meet all the needs of New Jersey citizens. And this is because the proposed use capitalizes on and maximizes available space for an appropriate commercial use. It also advances, finally, purpose I, to promote desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. This is because the proposed use minimizes visual impact through creative design of the storage area with the installation of the landscaping between the daycare use to the south and the proposed storage area. In regard to the negative criteria, which requires demonstrating the requested relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public public good and will not impair the intent and purpose of the zoning plan and zoning ordinance. Here, the requested relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good because the proposed use does not interfere with surrounding uses, remains out of sight to the public, and is natural yet limited expansion of the existing use in the industrial zone. The other prong of the negative criteria, which is the requested relief, can be granted without impairing the intent and purpose of the township's master plan and zoning ordinance. Here, the township's governing body adopted a 2022 Hainesport Master Planning Reexamination Report in April 2022 and incorporated many of the prior goals and objectives of the prior master plan and reexamination report, including encouraging the development and improvement of existing commercial offices, businesses along Route 38 corridor, and encouraging uses which emphasize realistic future growth. And this is a reference to the 2022 reexamination report and the 2002 reexamination report and the 2008 reexamination report. Another point that is made in the 2022 reexamination report is that it maintains strict conformance with standards in development of industrial office, commercial uses, so that the compatibility with the environment will be assured. So that theme is repeated in the 1996 master plan. It's repeated again in 2002, 2008, and now in 2022. So we believe that this is that this achieves the goal of that by supporting this business. This obviously has a very long history with the community, and that the nature and the context of the design plans with respect to the landscaping outweigh any negative impacts associated that would impact the community, and that obviously not granting this relief would impose an undue hardship on the property.
Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Thank you.
Everybody heard that? You need him to say it again, or?
Yeah, next time.
Appreciate it. You know, in essence, folks, I think the planning testimony supports the application. I believe we've come to some peace with respect to many aspects of this, except that dumpster, right? I think that's the one thing that we sort of need to address that's left in here. So in speaking with the client, sort of at sidebar, while Mr. McLean was providing his testimony, I was able to confirm that they are willing to either expand the existing dumpster, I think it might be a 30-foot dumpster now, maybe perhaps put a second one there, or relocate the dumpster to another area of the site that's more beneficial to everybody to prevent the types of trash and debris that Ms. Newcomb has experienced. So suggestion was made, and we're going to run with this, from Mr. Taylor, that perhaps we would amend the application. We could also perhaps condition this as a part of the approval process. Really, I feel like amending the application so long as we wouldn't have to come back and see all you nice folks would probably be the best route to go. And making it also a condition that Ms. Newcomb, not satisfied ad nauseum in a subjective sense, but perhaps she gets to talk to us about where she would like to see it consistent with the issues that she's experienced on the site. Otherwise, we're open to suggestions. Whatever alleviates the problem, I think that's what we're going for.
So one of the things is that when they first went into violation with me, I have the picture of the dumpster and the location.
I see it.
Sure, I mean, you can pass it around to everybody. They're on both pages. So the point being is that I would suspect that a business of this nature and this size needs one. The fact is that, okay, do they need one? Do they need two? It also has to affect the fire official as well for his location of things. You're more than welcome if you want to pass it to any of the board members. Because this is a constant problem throughout the town for me, I don't want to have to keep having this applicant come back to the board. So I feel if this is something that can be resolved, again, this is not my call.
No, I understand.
This is the board's call. So, and it's up to my professionals as to where they best see it fit if it were permitted, and also the fire official as well.
Fair enough. So if there's a 30-foot dumpster there now, right?
Correct, and there was actually two at a later point. This was from May, when I initially put them in violation.
Okay. So we doubled that.
Again, that's up to the applicant.
Well, the applicant,
what they need,
you know,
and then up to the board.
The
what
applicant
their
is willing
decision is.
to install a second 30-foot dumpster.
Correct.
Whether it be directly adjacent, which I think would be fairly consistent with where it is now, and not, be too
So when you say adjacent, you mean
directly next to
directly next to
the
your
existing dumpster.
trash enclosure?
No, the existing dumpster that's there now.
The existing dumpster that is located in the outdoor inventory storage area.
That's correct. Just double it.
And that would have an enclosure that matches the,
Yes, it would have an enclosure that matches the existing fencing. It'll be consistent with and installed in a very similar way. So
between lot 2.04 and 2.05.
that's right. And it won't be a temporary fence enclosure, it'll be a permanent fence enclosure, consistent with the other approvals for our other fence.
Don't you have to be able to get around the dumpster 360?
Yes.
How you gonna enclose it?
That's the fact.
What's that?
How you got, you have to be able to get to the dumpster from 360 degrees, right? You just can't.
Right.
So how you
There will
gonna-
be an opening, certainly won't be totally
I mean-
enclosed.
An opening. So somebody can drive all the way around the dumpster? I'm really uncomfortable with this plan. I mean, this is the second time they've been in here, and first it was the fence, now it's the dumpster. It should be on the site plan. I don't know if they're allowed to scribble it in now, but I don't have an understanding of what they're doing here.
Could this is backtrack.
Certainly.
Not that map, but the one that has the overview. It's of the 9 that we have here, number 2 of 9. Is that it? Okay.
Right.
Would you be kind enough to show me exactly where that 10-foot fence is going to start and stop? Because one of the things that I have here looks like it's going to cut right through the 2 dumpsters that are on the edge of or by the edge of the property. But I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right thing.
Are you talking about the fence outside of the property or this new dumpster in the storage area?
I wasn't talking about the storage area one because that just came up. But no, I was talking about where the dumpsters, 2 dumpsters are now in relation to where this fence is going to go.
Chairman, is it okay if I bring this a little closer to you?
I have it one in front of me.
Yeah, to help clarify, the bold dashed line in the center of sheet 2 that surrounds the property, that's the property line.
Okay.
So what you're seeing that's running directly in between the subject property we're discussing tonight and the Hertz property.
Right.
That bold line is the property line, not the proposed fence line.
Right.
So the proposed fence is not shown on sheet 2. This is just the existing area.
Understand. But it's on this number 4.
It is not on number 4. Number 4 is the existing conditions plan. If you go to sheet 5.
Ridiculous.
All right, it's on 5 too.
Sheet 5, there is a bold line beginning right at the building corner. This southeast building corner, which is the bottom right of the building.
All right.
There's a bold line with X's in it. Every couple feet, there's a little X, then there's another little X, another little X. That's the proposed fence. So it's going to be in line with the building,
All right.
not in the shared drive aisle. So if you keep following that line with X's towards the bottom of the sheet, you will see that it goes to the left or west of the existing trash enclosure, which actually has a label, existing trash
I
enclosure.
know, that's what I read it from. So the existing trash enclosures are going to be outside the fence that you're proposing,
Correct. That existing was dealt with back in 2016 when Stevens owned the property and came in for those dumpster enclosures. So if we're standing at Mary Way, to the left of their fence is the existing closures that were approved back in 2016 on a site plan.
But it appears that the two dumpsters, one of them is going across the property line.
I don't know.
Sir, it's a shared dumpster enclosure between properties at Building 3 and Building 5. That dumpster enclosure is used by tenants of both buildings. It's an enclosure in common.
Okay, got it. Good answer, thank you.
Yeah, but, you know.
Great answer.
Are we kind of mislabeling it? Is it a front load trash bin, not necessarily a dumpster, which, you know, one feels, I mean, I have two dumpsters. They're dumpsters, they're roll-offs. I mean, are you talking roll-offs, or are you talking a front-loaded trash enclosure with a lid?
The existing trash containers inside the existing enclosure are roll-offs with front-closing lids, the green boxes with front-closing lids.
Well, hold on.
So they get,
Not roll-off.
Those are not roll-offs.
No, I know, and that's where the confusion. In the shared trash area between 2.04 and lot 2.05, there are 3 or 5 yard dumpsters.
Right.
Correct.
That are lifted.
Yes.
Head-on in there. I think what Mr. McLaughlin is talking about is a 30-yard roll-off.
Exactly what's
And
there.
that's,
Would be inside the storage, the proposed storage area.
Correct.
so small dumpsters in the shared
But-
trash area between the two sites, and they want to put their own new enclosure in to house a 30-yard roll-off type.
okay, but we all know, the lid comes up, I throw my trash in, garbage truck shows up, he lifts it, and tilts it in.
Well,
A
this
roll-off
would not have a
dumpster,
lid.
what?
This roll-off would not have a lid.
Oh, no, I know, but how are you gonna access it? It needs to be accessed from 360 degrees, you know, or at least two ends to get stuff in the dumpster, or maybe one side, you know, where I can push, you know, go down the side of the dump. So how's the enclosure, I mean, you need to show it on the plan so we understand what you're asking. I mean, it's just, we're not, I don't really care what you do as long as it works and you show it, so we have something to vote on. You have nothing here.
Right, now, I understand what you're saying. I think the conversation about the dumpster and sort of how it's evolved related from an earlier conversation about Ms. Newcomb's concerns, and our concerns really about the trash issue. So,
Well, it was a permanent, it's obviously a permanent part of your application, it really should be on there. I mean, we need to see what it is. Just show us what you want to do,
within
and
the
we can vote on it.
trash enclosure, within the actual inventory storage enclosure.
I mean, are they allowed to just draw it on there tonight? I mean, Scott or Kathy, I don't
Well,
know.
how about if they show us where it's going to be, and any approval we may issue will be
Yeah.
subject to,
Yeah.
I think that's
At least
fair.
it's on the record what you're doing.
Certainly. And I'll have.
And I think they need two, right, you said?
That's their call.
Well, if you need two, you better put two on there,
Yeah, I'll put 2 on there.
because she'll be riding around.
We don't want to ride around, we don't want to ride.
Hey, you're a little vague, you know what I mean? It's just a little vague, so we just need
Not
to.
intentional, I think.
No, I don't think it's necessarily intentional, but we're trying to address it for you here.
Certainly. I appreciate it.
Sure, so what we would like to do is propose them in the southeastern portion of the outdoor storage.
Can you draw them?
Sure. So it would-
And that's reflected on Exhibit A2.
A2, and there will be 2 spaces. And so this would be a trash
Right here.
enclosure, trash enclosure,
Basically that bottom right corner.
yep, inside of the.
okay, now, a question for Mrs. Newcomb and Mr. Taylor. Are you, if we move forward to approve this, and one of the conditions is that the enclosed dumpster that they marked on this exhibit are on the final plan, are you okay with that?
So
Both?
The two things we want to confirm is, A, the fire folks should see that location. Secondarily, Mr. Hanley should provide a trash truck turning movement to make sure that where that location is, they can come in, onload and offload.
Okay.
There needs to be some minor reorientation
Well, you have to be able to load it
that could be.
from both ends or both sides, right?
Well,
You have to show how you're gonna load it.
ABC here, there are a lot of companies who just have pallets, who, that stuff all gets thrown in by hand. And so as long
Yeah,
as you
I hear you.
can access one side, and I think that's why we're a bit of a, which is why we asked last month for the information on the trash and dumpsters. And we're,
Still don't
to
have
your
it.
point, we're back here talking about
Well,
trash and dumpsters.
I mean, with all, okay. Well, at least we
We
got
could,
something.
you know, we are willing to make it a condition of approval. I mean, that's,
All right, while we're on that section right there, I guess I have a question for Mr. Taylor or Mr. Miller. The restrooms, can you, I can think I see them, it's close to where this trash thing's going to be, correct? The ADA,
The handicap.
no, wait, that question was of the applicant, sorry.
I wasn't sure, okay.
You know, all right, let me rephrase.
Hanley.
Show me where the ADA handicap spots are back there.
Absolutely. They are, again, everything seems to be in the southeast corner of this building, but two handicap spaces immediately to the left, if you will, when you turn into this outdoor storage area.
Okay.
Once you enter the gate where the 35-foot dimension is, there, if you were driving a vehicle, you would make a left into the spaces.
Okay. That's what I thought, but now my question of Mr. Taylor and Mr. Miller is, are the ADA handicap spaces allowed to be in behind a locked fence when the parking is going to be outside?
No, that's actually a great question. As soon as you brought that up.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, good
It's
catch.
my understanding that the main entrance to this building is in the rear, which is why the ADA spaces were located.
it also will not be locked during business hours.
Or, you mean closed?
That's correct. I apologize.
So.
So it'll be open.
That's
I
right.
think as long as those gates are always open during business hours, then full access is achieved, and if that's where the accessible route into the office or into the building is, then I think it would comply with the fire yourself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just another question. The picture that Kathy took, Mrs. Newcomb took of the dumpster that's there, can we get an idea on the map where that was?
That's pretty much where they're stating it.
That's
is.
where,
Yeah,
that's where that, so that's.
Same location.
The habitual spot for the dumpster is where you're planning to put it, to put them.
Right.
That's what I was getting back to before when I said there's other things in that area besides what
I-
Mr. McKay called inventory.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
These
you.
will just be two roll-offs. There will not be a masonry enclosure.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else, Counselor?
I don't think so.
Okay. Have any questions from our professionals? Mrs. Newcomb? Mr. Miller?
How is the shaded area going to be delineated in the field?
Essentially, what helps delineate it is that fire lane. Anything to the south of that fire lane, which will be striped on the pavement, is going to be the outdoor storage area. You have the two ADA spaces in the access aisle in there, which will be striped, and we will add striping for the two roll-off spaces. But the fire lane pretty much delineates anything on one side is outdoor storage, anything on the other side is that working/loading space in between the building and fire lane.
And the roll-offs will be striped.
They will be striped in the shaded hatch area.
And the fire official's always been willing to meet with the applicants to go over those things so that before it's done, it's only done once, that he will meet them out there.
This is for the location of the dumpsters?
Well, this is for location of the striping for them, as well as he's going to, I'll talk to Mr. Myers, and we can actually go out there together, and we'll take a look and address the striping for him as well as for the dumpsters. I mean, the on-site visits are always the best.
Okay.
If your client makes Mrs. Newcomb happy, we're happy.
You know, I've been married for 12 years. I learned that a while ago, so
Well,
I
you
get
just
it.
need a record of what you're doing, that's all. That's all-
No, I
that's all we're
understand. Mr.
doing. You know
McLaughlin,
that. You know that.
You're doing your job as a member of the board. You care enough to ask the questions. I appreciate that. And I'm fine, I'm happy to hear it and the feedback and to sort of figure it out so that it works as a livable solution for everybody. So we ain't back here in 6 months.
Thank you.
Right.
Mr. Miller, Mr. Taylor, you have any other questions?
No, I think they've addressed everything in our report.
Okay, thank you. No questions from the board members? We'll open public comment. Mrs. Costco, do we have anybody on?
There's one person online.
See if they have a comment on this application and this application only, please. Okay, any people in the audience have, yes, sir, step forward. Mr. Kingsbury will swear you in. We need your name and address.
Louis Lopez, 1198 Lewis Drive, Mount Holly, New Jersey. Louis, L-U-I-S.
Lewis.
Yep.
Last name?
Lopez, L-O-P-E-Z.
Sir, you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, so help you, truth, so help you.
Yes. Just two questions.
Mr. Lopez, the questions,
Okay, right.
they this way. We'll give them to the counselor if necessary.
I want for them to show me where is the new fences. It was blocking the way at that. I want to see them. The appointment with the new fences.
Yeah, absolutely.
In color or black and white?
Oh, no, it doesn't wear at that one. Yeah, that's in the handicap. Can you point it where it's going to be?
Sure, so looking at there's going to be 14 feet of fence, and it's a 6-foot-high chain link fence to the southwest corner of the building to close off to the existing fence. And then on the southeast portion of the building, it's going to connect from that building corner to the south, behind the existing trash enclosure, then go to the east and connect to the existing fence. And that will have 2 slide gates to allow access.
I would appreciate it. That's all the question I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lopez. Any other public comments on this application? Hearing none, I'll close the public comments.
So I'll offer a motion to approve the application with up to 2 30-yard dumpsters. I'd like to see a loading plan for the dumpsters, Scott, how you're going to load them, and how you're going to retrieve them, how the trucks are going to come in. I saw you had a nice map on the back. And then I think Mrs. Newcomb was talking about consulting with township officials about the location of the striping of the lot. Is there anything else I forgot?
Yeah, I believe so. Just, you know, I mean, we covered a lot, but in Mr. Taylor's letter, you mentioned the striping, that's what you were
Yeah.
talking about, right? Compliance with the fire marshal?
Right.
That's in there too?
Township officials, right. Fire official,
Okay,
Scott, as far as the striping, I see it here, it looks like it's here, but I know it needs to be tweaked, I guess.
the other thing had to do with the parking. They're proposing, I think the number was 9,
Well, that's part of
when
the,
more was,
that's part of the plan.
I think that's what you said.
Part of the plan.
But,
36, so.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, but the comment in Mr. Taylor's letter, the second number 3, the suggested consideration or approval be considered in the future, adequate parking spaces will be added.
Okay.
That's one of the things we all agreed to. I just want that in the motion.
So the motion is to grant that expanded parking variance with the conditions set forth in the report.
Okay.
All right. We have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Kingsbury, you need any clarification on what we just added to the motion, or are you good? Okay.
And that is for the D1 use variance and a waiver of site plan.
Yes.
So just a question on my motion. So I guess these, the dumpsters are a no-brainer. The loading plan and the truck retrieval, as well as striping, that would be approved by Scott's office?
Yeah, Marty.
And Marty's office? Prior to,
And the fire.
and the fire office? Okay, well,
Okay. Any questions on the motion from the board? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
And Mr. Crowell-Pfeiffer?
Yes. You're off and running. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
If you come in for other buildings, you know how it works now, right?
I don't got space for storage, the rest of it.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you all.
Short there.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, next case, 2309. Is it pronounced Carvalho? Yeah, if I may. Is it Carvalho? Is that, oh, it is correct, okay, carpentry. Counselor Snyder? Yes, I'm right here. All right. Thank you.
Guys, come in, they don't belong in here. They're missing everything.
Notice that lot, no pictures.
These guys should go through this shit. They're not doing, they're leaving it. We're wasting time.
Jesus Christmas, I'm getting weaker and weaker. This is disgusting. Can you help me with this? I know if I get it, it's gonna go all squirting over. Thanks. Just that little twist.
Want a water?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Can you leave it one to her, please?
Oh, I know where this place is.
Thank you, Counselor.
This is a wreck.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Do you have any witnesses or people who are going to testify?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. I have our engineer here, Anthony DeRosa. He's a professional engineer, a public land surveyor, and certified municipal engineer. I believe he's testified before this board maybe 10 years ago, but if you want him, I'd like him to present his qualifications.
Okay, anybody else or just the one?
I have,
I'd just like to get them all sworn in at the same time. and
I
then-
have the applicant, if necessary, for him
Yes.
to testify. Could you stand up? Mr. Philip Carvalho.
You
Carvalho
can
Carpentry.
stay there if you want. You want to raise your right hands? Mr. Kingsbury will swear you in.
I do.
Counselor, you didn't have to. Thank you so much, Mr. Carvalho.
Extra measure.
Want me to go through my qualifications?
When every attorney says she wants to hear it, if you want to do it now, fine.
Sure. This is good evening, Mr. Chairman and the board. I'm here happily to present a development application by Philip Carvalho on behalf of Carvalho Carpentry, Inc. We have a variance plan prepared by Tri-State Engineering and Surveying consisting of one sheet dated May 4th. And we also provided with our application architectural drawings from Reagan Design Group, Dennis Nichols. And I sent them to Mr. Scott Taylor. They were delivered with the application, but I don't know if there was some confusion, he didn't see it. But I also have those as an exhibit tonight. And if it pleases the board, I'd like to present Mr. DeRosa to have his qualifications put on the record and
Yes.
allow him to testify as an expert.
Good evening, everybody. I'm a graduate of New Jersey Institute of Technology, a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. I liked it so much, I went back, got another bachelor's degree in surveying technology. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey, a professional land surveyor in the state of New Jersey, as well as licensed in Pennsylvania and Delaware. I'm a certified municipal engineer. I provided testimony to dozens of boards, counties, courts, and as well as I've been I've sat on joint land use boards in Audubon, not Mount Laurel, Haddon Heights, Gloucester Township, and Clementon for a number of years.
Okay. You've never been before this board, though, right?
My memory is a little foggy. If I did, it was 10 years ago.
Mine gets foggy back 10 years, too.
So I figured I would just lay it all out on the table again for you.
Any questions from any board members or professionals? Hearing none, is acceptable, Counselor.
Thank you. We have, this is a project that we are hoping to have the board approve. We have sought preliminary and final site plan approval waivers, which Mr. DeRosa will testify to those waiver requests. The subject parcel is a 7,500 square foot lot located on the northeast corner of the intersection of Marne Highway with New York Avenue within the business, commercial with residential business district. This particular dwelling is a single-family home. Currently, it's a very old property. It was, I'm sure it was there in the 50s, according to the aerial, and it was used for, this area was the old cottages and homes that were vacation homes for people that came over. So it's within a residential neighborhood, this particular home on Marne Highway. It's a one-story frame dwelling with a detached frame garage at the rear access to New York Avenue. There's also a driveway access from Marne Highway, and there's a chain link fence that surrounds the property.
Counselor, excuse me, did you say attached garage?
Detached.
Detached.
Frame garage, yes.
Detached, right, okay, sorry.
That's okay. I may have misspoke. North of the site, there's residential dwellings within the R2 residential district, and across Marne Highway to the south is an industrial park within the I industrial district. And there's an image that was provided by your planner, Mr. Taylor, attached to his letter dated August 25th. And Mr. DeRosa and I are going to address the letter from the planner dated August 25th and provide testimony with regard to the D1 use variance and the C variances for bulk variance for setback, lot width. And we're going to go through those comments one by one, if that's okay with the board. So I'll have Mr. DeRosa come up and present testimony to that effect. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, once again. As we noted, I just want to call out some particulars about the site first before I go into my testimony. Here is the project. This is the same plan that was before you. It's part of the application, but I will mark it Exhibit A1. As you can see, the existing dwelling fronts on Marne Highway, has access to New York Avenue. It's a corner lot, 2 front yard setbacks. The detached frame garage is in the northern portion of the site. What I did was I highlighted the yard setbacks for everybody to see, basically to show why we have some existing variances that were existing nonconformities. You can see there's a building envelope. It's pretty difficult to build anything in. What we are proposing tonight is a 14 by 20 foot building addition to the rear of the first floor, a staircase going to the second floor, additional stone parking in the rear of the building to the north of the property line, an extension of the existing stone driveway that comes off of Marne Highway. As our attorney had mentioned, there is an existing chain link fence that goes around the property. Currently, there is no curb along either the portion of Martin Highway or New York Avenue where the property sits. There are no sidewalks in any of the areas adjacent to our property. I know there's a couple questions about proposing. We are not proposing any sidewalks, any curb of that nature at this moment. There is a small porch area for the renovations. We will have a door that comes off the western side of the house, utilizing the porch to utilize the parking or access to New York Avenue. As I stated, the proposal is to accommodate 4 parking spaces, 2 in the new stone area to the north of the property, 2 in the existing stone area coming off of Martin Highway. The site complies with many of the bulk and yard standards of the ordinance, except for the following. The minimum lot area is 7,500 square feet. Existing, this is compliant for a single-family home, but this lot area is exceeded when a 2-family home is created. And part of our use variance tonight is for the conversion of the single-family home into a 2-family home. There's a 30-foot minimum front yard setback to Martin Highway. 22.2 feet to the first floor is an existing nonconformity, and 22.2 feet to the second floor addition is being proposed. There's no expansion on the existing nonconformity as it appears to Martin Highway. There's a 30-foot minimum front yard setback to New York Avenue. Currently, 6.8 feet to the first floor is the existing nonconformity, and 4.4 feet to the second floor addition is being proposed. Chain link fences are not permitted between the street line and the building line. This is an existing nonconformity along New York Avenue. All front yard fences must be non-solid construction, and permitted fences include split rail, picket, iron, and aluminum fences. The existing fence is chain link, which again is an existing nonconformity. And front yard fences must be set back a minimum of 2 feet from the street line. The existing fence varies between 0.1 feet and 0.5 feet, which again is an existing nonconformity. The existing garage structure is not planned to be removed, altered, or changed in any way. That will stay where it is and how it functions. One clarification while talking about the garage. The area in front of the garage is not intended to be used for car parking. There's not enough space between the garage and the right-of-way line or the edge of the road to permit a car. Just so if there's any discussion, that is simply just to gain access in and out of the garage. The stone in front of the garage is not intended to be used for parking. As we stated, a D1 variance is required to permit the conversion of the single-family home into a 2-story multifamily dwelling where such use is expressly prohibited in this zone. Uses that are permitted in the business commercial zone include single-family detached dwellings, apartments as ancillary to a commercial enterprise, personal service shops, and professional or business offices, just to name a few. The applicant's proposed use and associated improvements satisfy several purposes of zoning, including Purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Here, our proposal tonight involves the renovation and preservation of an existing building to facilitate a use that is both compatible and less intense than some other permitted commercial uses. It is our belief that even going to a 2-family home can be accommodated by the off-street parking, and if we were to go to a permitted commercial use, that would generate more traffic to the site, would certainly require more parking, would certainly require more impervious surface area and would be a detriment to this particular lot and to the neighboring community. Purpose C, to provide adequate light, air, and open space. Tonight's proposed improvements do not substantially alter the existing building footprint and still conforms with the impervious coverage requirement that the site proves that the improvements can be accomplished without detracting from existing light, air, and open space. Purpose G, to provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of agriculture, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses, and open space both public and private according to their respective environmental requirements in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. This proposal allows for a multifamily residential option in an appropriate location while not reducing the availability of or potential to develop single-family housing in other open lots within the district. The site will also provide a different type of housing option while maintaining the aesthetics of the surrounding houses and neighborhood. The building is existing and suitable to be renovated for this use without harm to the surrounding areas. In addition, we have Purpose I, to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. The proposed renovation will take a dilapidated building and transform it into a visually pleasing site consistent with residential neighborhood. I believe we already passed out a photo of what the site looks like existing. You can see the old siding, the old windows. Unfortunately, you don't get to see the front of the building, which also has some brick that's being pulled away from the foundation. So this is sheet A2 of the architectural plans that were provided as part of this application. I'll mark it as Exhibit A2.
I didn't get them. Really? We didn't get them.
I'm sorry, I thought you did.
No.
Oh, that's a little tough here.
What I want to point out here is just the residential look of the proposed addition, second-story addition. Just new vinyl siding on the western portion, the picture that you're looking at. There will be a additional architectural feature, the porch, to give that portion of the house a little bit of dimension, a little bit of character from the roadway, whereas existing it's just a flat face front.
Yeah.
The rear will just be an addition of a staircase to access the second-story unit, as well as a rear door. And of course, the front elevation will just be newly sided, new roof, etc.
So basically, that's going to be the front, what we're looking at right there?
Right here,
This side.
correct.
That's the side view on
That's the side.
This is the left side view, which is the view in the photo you have.
And I don't know if I missed anything, but I'm trying to figure out how you went from 24.3% impervious coverage. Oh, okay, oh, you're growing, okay, to 33, all right, that makes sense. Okay, I got you.
Sorry. Next, we're increasing Purpose M to encourage coordination of the various public and private procedures shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and the more efficient use of land. The size, shape, and multiple frontages of our property. Back to our first exhibit. Help us use the land more efficiently, maintaining a single-family appearance that is congruent with the surrounding neighborhood. So the uses to the east, north, as well as across New York Avenue are all residential uses. Even in this neighborhood, there are some two-story residences, there are single-story residences. So by putting on the second-story addition, it will not substantially change the look of the neighborhood or detract from any of the neighbors. We also need to establish negative criteria. That means that the proposed use variance will result in a substantial detriment to the public good and requires the board to consider the impact of the variance on adjacent properties. Second, this requires assurance that the variance can be granted without, again, substantially impairing the intent and purpose of the zone plan and ordinance. In this case, while the use is not explicitly permitted, we don't see a negative or detrimental impact to the adjacent properties. We are still maintaining a residential use. We just are proposing a two-family dwelling as opposed to a single dwelling. The use will also be residential and consisting with the neighborhood properties. We feel that it furthers two goals of the master plan. Goal number one, to revitalize the state's towns. Obviously, any renovation, any beautification is aesthetically pleasing, and it helps to revitalize, the area, the neighborhood. And goal number 6, to provide adequate, affordable housing. Again, with, I know, economics can't be totally taken into consideration, but allowing for rental units or a two-story dwelling, two-family dwelling is more economical than building brand-new houses, especially with the cost of housing and the interest rates and everything that we're seeing today.
Can you go back to the actual house plan?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. I don't necessarily see how you're gonna get into the house.
Okay.
On this other plan, where, is there a steps, a sidewalk, or, on this one? How do you get in it? No, I wanted to see that. That looks like the front door. This little.
This door here is the front door along Martin Highway.
So the side of the house is the front.
So this side is
Yeah.
the front door along New York Avenue.
Right, but how do you get in that, how do you get to that door? Is there a sidewalk, or are you gonna put gravel, or how are you gonna get there? How you get into that door?
Well, that again is not shown. Right now, what is shown is the porch, the concrete porch coming out of the house. And then, of course, we can add either a sidewalk that goes straight to New York Avenue or towards the parking in the rear.
But this little jut out is the front, is another front door, right? I mean, Kathy, is this all part of like the permitting process?
Something that may clarify Mr. McLaughlin's question is, could you flip that over for a second?
Yes.
And I want to tie it into this picture that you provided us with. Where is that porch with the access door in relation to the chimney?
Oh, the chimney on this paper.
On that photo, the chimney would be probably in the location where the new door will be.
All right, but you're not showing a sidewalk. In other words, you're saying the impervious coverage is growing to 33.4. I guess if you put pavers there or gravel, I'm just trying to get an idea what you're doing.
Yeah, as of right now, you are correct, we're not showing anything, but as a condition of approval, we can work with Scott to put some kind of pavers or gravel down or.
And I got another question. I don't know who this is necessarily for, but I've been doing this, I've been up here a long time. This is the first time I've really seen an old house get turned into a new house.
Okay.
So Kathy, Paul, somebody, I guess the building inspector will go out and make sure the foundation has structural integrity to hold this new.
Their responsibility is to give my office, our construction office, the structural engineer is going to have to verify that this building can take the second story.
So that'd be part of the permit, not
Yes.
necessarily part of this variance?
No.
Correct.
Okay.
It's part of,
All right, that's first time for me, where we're taking an old,
correct. So when they send in the plans, is that one of the things is that we're going to have a structural engineer will verify the load above the existing house, and if it needs to be refitted for any type of footings or structural issues, that will come along that'll be a requirement. Because now that if it becomes a two-family, there's a lot more that's required differently than a single-family home, correct?
Okay, so that's not part of what we're talking about.
That's not part of what I'm presenting now. That would
Probably
be,
no.
the architect would create another set of documents, which would go to your construction office for approval.
You understand, if you're asking us to approve 33.4% impervious coverage, you can't, I mean, we can't go over it. I mean, if you're asking for that, that's what it's got to be, right?
Right, if they're asking for a variance, a bulk variance on an impervious coverage, obviously, I don't know, I don't have the report in front of me what they're asking for.
It's 33 and 33.4 from 24.3, but they're not showing how you get in the house.
But the requirement, not to cut you off, is 40%. So we are under, that is one of the variances we are not requesting.
Right, this is not the normal R2 zone or
Yeah.
R1 zone.
So if we were to add a walkway and come from 33 to 35%, we would still be compliant.
All right,
It would only be if we then exceeded 40%, we'd have to come back before you because we made a mistake.
Just trying to get a handle on what you're...
Absolutely.
My question is that why are we not looking at the right side of the building for the entrance versus the New York Avenue?
The right side.
Right by the driveway.
Well, that's the left side of
Left
the...
side.
Correct.
Oh, okay, I got you.
If you're are you looking to put the entrance to the downstairs unit on the New York Avenue side?
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn, but there is an entrance on both sides of the house. There's a door on both sides of the house. And the idea is, as you can see from the photo, the New York side of the house currently is a blank slate.
Correct.
We have two frontages. So by putting another front door, porch area, and, architectural roof, it kind of gives the idea that, the house is also fronting on two roadways as opposed to just, a long, flat, dimensionless.
Well, I'm looking at a safety factor, is that if we have a family here that lives downstairs, and we're talking about the kids getting out of the car, coming around to this side, onto the New York Avenue side, don't you find a little more safety factor of having the main entrance either to the front where it's existing or to the right side of the property?
We have two options here. Thank you for that. The front, the downstairs unit, I don't know how it will work, but could utilize the driveway that's off of Martin Highway, leaving the proposed driveway that's in the rear for the upstairs unit. That driveway would lead right to the proposed stairs going up to the second floor.
Correct.
Whereas the driveway off of Martin Highway connects right to the right side door, or is a short walk to the front door. They wouldn't have to walk all the way around and access at New York Avenue.
On that right-hand side, there's a concrete slab right beyond the driveway. Is there going to be a door beside that concrete slab?
That is that door right there.
All right. It's hard to figure out what I'm looking at here. Looking at that top right drawing.
Yes.
Where's Martin Highway?
Martin Highway.
Front.
is here.
Okay. All right. So that would be,
That's at the bottom on this one, right? Is that the bottom?
Yes.
Right here.
so they have access on either side of the house?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm concerned about as well, is what is the flow? It's late at night, the family of four gets home.
I think there's a
How's the first floor family and the second floor family, where do they park and where do they get into the home?
Be from the road.
Again, you would come in, and you can access, maybe if you're the first car in the driveway, you can come right
Thanks.
and access the right side.
Okay, so the door on the other
If you're the
side,
second car, you can also just walk right up the drive into the right side doorway, or there's also going to be a front door as well here that you walk into. Now, if you're the second second-story dwelling. You park on the New York Avenue side, and you would access the stairways right up to the entrance.
Where does the car come in at, again, the second floor family? Where do they
That's New
drive
York
into the
Avenue.
property?
Well, you would drive in
That's
New
New
York
York
Avenue
Avenue.
and then turn into the park.
Okay.
This is New York Avenue, it's a roadway.
Okay, and that's the parking area.
And then you gravel parking area right there.
Okay, and they can walk straight down
And then they
south.
will walk straight up into the second story and then vice versa, just straight down.
Okay, thank you, that helps.
How about accessing that garage? Will cars be stored in that garage?
No.
It's just-
Can we go back to, I want to go back to my question. I still don't understand the answer.
I'm sorry about that.
Where is this porch entrance door in relation to the chimney on the side of this house? And before you answer it, let me just get it out here again. I did go to the property, I saw it,
Okay.
and I know what we're talking about, but and I have a couple of other comments about the area, but can we just address that? Like you said, that it's going to be where the chimney is. Well, then what's happening with the chimney and the heating
Chimney's
system?
gone.
It's gone. It's not on the plan.
No heat.
It's probably 120 years old.
So the first floor living area would be this doorway. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Where the chimney goes away.
The chimney goes away.
Chimney goes away, and the doorway where the porch is would be in the general location of where that chimney is.
Okay. And you're going to have a chimney someplace else, I assume?
No, they can go to a direct vent
Right.
You go to that
type of
little
unit
PVC.
and get rid of the chimney.
Can that, is it?
So my
possible for us
concern
to
is,
ask to
and
look at some of these plans, I didn't even see that now. You're entering into
So-
evidence, and we don't even,
I
it
apologize.
just helps us get an idea what you're trying to do. And we'll pass it, it's all right if we pass it around, are we allowed to? Oh, yeah, you got a small. All right, well, fine. No, not your, we can fix it, we can fix anything.
Chimney would be
While they're looking at those plans,
today's technology.
I've got a permitted use master plan
Well, that-
question.
This is this.
Yeah.
Right here.
The existing chimney would be here, but they don't need it. Yesterday's technology, they're.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah. it's-
described this building as dilapidated.
Okay.
So I take you at your
Well, I
word
guess
for
it's
that.
all different.
This
This
is the
might be-
front.
Yeah.
Does it have a basement?
Yeah, this would be expanded out, maybe built.
Here, this is this side. Okay, what else did they show?
The access for the basement's off to the existing east side of the building, correct? Need a magnifying glass. I do, I have one too. This is more here. So this is the first one, it's the second.
Almost identical.
And there's the basement. Here's,
Oh, shit.
I know where the basement is.
Oh, okay.
let me ask you a question here.
Get an idea what's going on?
I think we've got
All right,
this.
there's too many people talking.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you right.
I wanted to know if there's a basement, and you explained to me, or at least council said, from what I heard, partial basement and a partial crawl space. Is that consistent with what you know?
Yes.
Have you done the engineering work to know whether the existing foundations can support the second story that you're talking about adding, and the addition?
I have not, I do not prepare those documents.
Do you know whether the framing on the first floor will support the second floor?
No, that would be a question for the architect and their design team.
Why have you decided to try to convert this dilapidated building into a duplex
instead of complying with the master plan and raising this dilapidated, rather ancient building, and building a proper conforming single-family house on this lot.
The idea is to, again, I understand your question, and, you know, the applicant wants to provide a two-family dwelling in this location that has all the characteristics of a single-family home from, you know, the exterior look of it. And, you know, that is why we're here tonight with that ask in mind.
If this board were to grant the relief requested, do you think that would encourage homeowners in the immediate area to try to put on an addition to their house and to create duplexes in each of their houses, as you are asking for here?
Well, I can't accurately answer that. I just know that our application has to stand on its own, and any subsequent application would therefore have to provide the same amount of proofs and plans that we did, and would not just subsequently get approval because they said, well, our neighbor got approval, so, you know, we're seeking approval.
Is it possible that Mr. Carvalho could answer Mr. McKay's question
Absolutely.
as to why?
Sure.
Let me, so they want to know why you wouldn't want to put a single-family home, develop this as a single-family home. Why do you want to put in a down two-story dwelling? You're not changing the footprint. Why, same question, why do you want to?
Wrap up this other property.
More come in construction, or your door if you're creating a new one.
I don't know if he has an answer, but I can state that, you know, we did review the master plan, and an overarching goal of the community is to continue to investigate alternative forms of residential development, which this does. And it's a two-story up and down dwelling. It's not really a duplex as defined in the code. A duplex, I believe, would be side by side. This is up and down, so it's a little different.
Different.
How would you define it then?
It's not changing the footprint either. It's not expanding the footprint. And it also meets the housing needs of a wide range of income and age levels, because a lot of people can't afford to buy a single-family home, especially now. And this allows the community and residents to be able to afford housing in an area that's already residential. So we're really not changing the residential quality of the community in that area. We're just making it two residences instead of one.
So, counsel, it's a house owned in fee simple now by somebody. What is the ownership arrangement proposed if the two-family or duplex, however you want to label it, is approved? Is it going to be a rental property within a fee simple house, or is it going to be condoized, if I can use that phrase?
You were going to put your family in there, right?
As of now, I'm planning on putting my parents to live on the second floor and my brother to live in the first floor.
So it would be fee simple, still owned by Carvalho Carpentry, Inc.
With two units within
units.
within the property. And I haven't had the benefit of seeing the floor plans, so excuse me, if I looked on those, I could probably find the answer, but I'll just ask you straight out. What's the square footage to be of each of the living units that are proposed?
Mr. DeRosa can answer that. square footages? Yeah, the dimensions.
What
Can we
is it
have
now?
him put the dimensions in and he'll figure it out real quick?
Well, it's 20 feet wide.
Plans don't have total square foot dimensions on them?
No, you can't read them. I know, even with a magnifying glass, we couldn't.
I think those are the bulk issues.
You can just take the exterior dimensions and do the math.
Yeah, so if we're looking at a 24, I don't know any of that on plans.
I think if you look at page, or the cover sheet of the architecture plans, there's a habitable area calculation.
So the ground floor is 1,118 square feet, and the second floor is 922 square feet, with a total habitable area of 2,040 square feet, living space inside the physical wall.
This was done in January of this year.
The proposed addition is 280 GSF, and the total building coverage is 1,200.
It's the guy who used to be our planner.
That's on the cover sheet.
All right, now, one of your reasons for having us grant this variance is that it contributes to the concept of affordable housing. Am I restating that, but accurately?
I said, meets the housing needs of a wide range of income and age levels. That's stated in the master plan 2022. That was one of the over primary goals that we cited page number 5.
No, I trust you.
I
I
wrote it
trust
down,
you.
so I know what I said.
So you're not actually suggesting that this creates affordable housing?
Because I know that-
More affordable house, not.
Yeah, not affordable housing like COA, like you have in other areas, no. This is, just helps the goals of the community by meeting the housing needs of a wide range of income and age levels. Most people can't afford now a single family home. And,
Well, that's a good point. You've obviously done some design work, so that implies that you've also done some construction cost calculations, have you?
No, not yet.
The applicant's a carpenter by trade.
Yes.
He knows what frame dwelling square footage costs are these days, I assume?
Yeah, somewhat.
And there's been no thought given to the cost of construction of this property?
Yeah, I have an idea.
What is your idea?
I would say somewhere around 200,000.
200,000 to create a two-family house?
Yes.
Would it be $200,000 if you just made it a single-family house, rebuilt it as a single family?
it would be a lot less because it's only,
Yeah, it'll be less than that.
single floor and a lot less.
So the duplex that you're proposing, or the two-family house, as you call it, will actually cost more to construct than a conforming single-family house on this lot?
That would be the builder cost, not the person who's buying it cost.
Hold on,
I was trying to see if it was answering the question.
Well, I'm trying to get testimony, not...
Yeah, I agree, but I think somewhere, something was misconstrued. If we were-
My question was pretty simple.
Yes, it was, and I believe our answer was not as simple as your question. I believe if we were to construct a single-family home, 2 stories, exactly that we are proposing, it would be relatively the same cost. If we were just to renovate what is existing now and not add the second story, then the cost conceivably would be half. And I believe that's where the confusion in our answer was.
I apologize, I thought you meant.
That's all right.
Do anything and had.
Your revised answer actually makes more sense to me than the original answer.
So let me ask you a question. Have you reached out to the MUA, Mount Holly MUA, for a second line for a second family if it were to be approved, as well as New Jersey American Water, because they have to be on separate utilities? And right now, the cost to tie in just from the MUA is approximately over $7,400, just to tie in for one extra line. Also, this is, you have to get approval from the county as well. It's on a county road. But I don't know, has anybody reached out to the utilities to see if that is available to tie in, or have you approached them?
We have not yet, but we can make that a condition of approval, and we
It-
had all
Well,
intended to reach out to them after we got through this.
Well, that would be a condition of my construction office.
Yes, yes.
Who's
Let me
living in there
finish.
now?
Mr. Chairman, let me just finish
ahead.
my, because
Go ahead.
then I'll shut up, because I don't have any more questions today. I just want to make sure, you want to approve the expansion of this single-family dwelling on the same footprint, slightly enlarged, but you want to keep a lot of non-conforming items, such as the fence, the chain link fence, which is now strictly prohibited under the code, but you want to keep the old fence. Is that correct?
We are open to, if that fence needs to be removed, removing that and complying. What I wanted to do was point out that there were existing nonconformities, the fence being one of them.
The garage, do you know what the dimensions on that garage are?
Do not.
Roughly, I would say 12 by 24.
12 by 24, okay. Would you describe the current state of the garage as dilapidated, as is the house?
The garage is what?
Is it dilapidated, meaning is it?
Yeah, it needs a new roof, and I was planning on putting a new roof on it, new garage door and siding, new siding. So it would look exact the same as the house, so I would match the finishes on the house.
If you have a garage, why do you need an extra 2 parking spots?
Because the garage is not a regular sized garage, you wouldn't be able to park a car in there.
I was getting to that. The garage is undersized, and a normal current manufactured car won't fit in that garage. They're too big,
I
correct?
would refer to that garage as an enlarged shed, just for storage, you know.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
So, just to get the gist of it, are you gonna own the property?
I own the property.
You already own it? Okay. And you're building you wanna do this for your father and your father and mother and your brother to live in here? Is that your testimony? Yes?
Yes.
So the question I have, looking at the construction end of this, besides the structural, has the architect taken a look at the New York side door entrance? And the reason is that I believe, I could be wrong, but until I exactly get the requirements, is that there's a condition of if you're creating a new entrance and how far that door and that stoop are from an actual roadway. So I feel that if for some reason it was not permitted under this is technically really under the IRC, is that you may not be able to have that door and that stoop because you're creating something new. If it was existing, that's different. But you're creating a new stoop that is feet away from technically the road. At that point, is that what would happen if the board were to approve this and we denied it in my construction office due to the fact that it's not permitted to be there? At that point, then, you couldn't have it. My question would be, is that would they have to come back to the board to take a look for a revision of not having the door?
think the bigger issue at this point, not to jump over that. That's
Right, I understand.
the building code detail issue. The bigger question really becomes the conversion of a single-family home in a single-family zone.
Correct.
That does not permit two-family residences to a two-family residence. Whether they could move a door, shift a door, put a barrier up, change direction.
Well, the only reason, I believe there's a bulk variance on that they were asking for.
There are a
Okay.
handful of bulk
Yes.
variances.
Okay.
I think trying to get through the issue of, and I'll, after the board members finish, I have a couple questions for Mr. DeRosa. To get, sort of focus on the conversion of a single-family home
Agreed.
to a two-family. I know we use the term duplex sort of interchangeably. A duplex, under our ordinance definition, technically means two separate lots. The homes are actually touching each other. What we have here is actually a horizontal ownership regime. So it counts as a two-family dwelling because there's only a horizontal separation. So I also think that the board, Mr. Carpalo has indicated that he intends to have his parents and two family members live in different entities. I don't think he's proposing that this be a single familial unit as an accessory or an in-law suite. He's proposing to create two units that could be condoed, could be sold, and that would need to be addressed however the board were to evaluate the application.
So, I know one of our former mayors, when the Hainsport Chase was being built, he had a suite built for his mother, right on Easton Way, kitchen, the whole 9 yards. Is there a difference between would that be called, I guess, an in-law suite? Is there a difference between an in-law suite and what this applicant's asking for? Could we modify it that he's doing an in-law suite that necessarily couldn't be rented out in the future? I understand, your concern, other members of the board's concern. I have the same concern. I am sort of happy to see some improvement to the area, but I would like to see more of an in-law suite than a full-blown approval for a two-family. Can we do that?
So that would be a totally different application. That would be a single-family residential use that has an accessory in-law suite.
That would be what.
There are, our township ordinances do not make a distinction between that. What they're proposing is two independent dwelling units.
Yeah. But if they made it one unit, added the second floor onto this, with access through the back with the stairs that he shows on his diagram, would that fit our requirements?
So we don't have any requirements. There are a lot of towns that have separate requirements. Some of those for those suites are, in some cases, they can't have separate kitchen
Can't have separate entrances.
facilities, and they can't have separate entrances.
Do we have
That
such
way,
ordinances?
If your mother-in-law comes in, there is a door directly through your mudroom to get into the mother-in-law suite, or that in-law suite. And I don't believe that's the intent with this.
So just talking here, if he created a mudroom with a stairway inside going up, does that qualify for a?
Then that does become a different land use than two separate, separately deeded, separately taxed. Because with this horizontal regime like this, the lot would have to be owned by one or both of those parties in common. And there would need to be access and maintenance agreements along with that. Because at any point in the future, each one of these units could be sold to different.
Well, he's not, are you looking at deed 2 units here?
No, it would be.
So you're looking for one house?
Yes, one house.
So would you be amenable, would you be amenable to one common entrance? And then it goes, your family could go separate ways, so this isn't, you know, we're not creating two-family houses in this residence, in this area. Would you be amenable to that, changing your plan a little, where you just walk in and split, you know, am I allowed to?
I find that an issue. And the reason is that we know how these things grow overnight somewhere along the road where somebody, I've had this, I've been in court with it, where they create this.
Over here, yeah.
And you don't know about it until the state police do a bust on it. I've been through this.
What are we gonna do?
We just authorized that. We just did a similar thing with Main Avenue several years ago. And I believe we required a common entrance and just a sliding glass door that separated internally between the two units. There was no, yeah. It was through the garage.
One entrance, walk in.
Into the actual home, into the house. Not like a, right. Parents are gonna go upstairs.
Yeah.
I have a question too. There's going to be no, your front door is going to be in the for the first floor. It's going to be in where the chimney is now. Is that correct?
That's where they're trying to put it. Kathy's not sure it's allowed.
Okay.
Tell her.
Right. But if it is allowed, that's the only entrance to the first floor.
There's a front door entrance presently that they can use to the main house.
And they want to put it on
On
the
Lawn.
side.
That's what they go into now.
On Lawn Highway, right?
Oh,
But there's one on the east side. It's on the east side next to the driveway. The access to the first floor is also on the eastern side of the home from the driveway.
If I could help you, you are correct.
Right.
There's an access from the eastern driveway to the first floor. There's the proposed access where the fireplace chimney is out to New York Avenue. And there's also a rear door that would be under the proposed staircase.
I'm sorry, say that again. There's two, one from the rear,
One from
the east side,
and one from the west.
and one from New York.
Correct.
So even if the New York Ave entrance was eliminated, it's still the subbuilding.
You still have two access points.
Mr. Cavallo does not plan on deeding it separately. He plans on being the owner of both.
Basement. I think it's here.
Members of the board, I think that we have an application presented to us. This is not, I think, the appropriate place to negotiate with the applicant to create a new application for something that has not been requested. And the board is seeking to try to convert this from a two-family house application to a mother-in-law suite application, as it's been dubbed, by disguising the fact that it's really a two-family house by removing an exterior door or two, so that everybody has to go through a common door to get to the two clearly separate apartments or family residences that are there. I don't think it's appropriate for us to do that. And this applicant can come back on another day with a mother-in-law suite application on a proper application addressing the appropriate criteria of the master plan. But I don't think it's our purpose in life or right to engage in a negotiation with them here.
We just did it with two dumpsters. I hear you.
It's a far cry.
I hear you.
It is apples and oranges
I
times
hear you.
10.
We do it every year, just about every.
You missed the point. This goes to the basic heart of the application. That's a detail, that's a footnote, the dumpsters. Has nothing material about the whole basis for the application. This goes to the heart of the application and the application of the master plan to the proposal. They're apples and oranges.
It sounds like that, I know there's some questions on the door and the conditions that are going to be part of the resolution, but, you know, we do stand firm in our request to have approval for the two-family up and down unit, and with the design plans that we have, and we'll, you know, provide further structural, you know, engineering diagrams or whatever other conditions to be proposed, but.
Counselor, could I ask a question while the dust settles a little bit here? Going back to this picture that you provided, and I remember I said earlier, I did see the property.
Yes.
And I was going to ask the question about this house back here. That's 2 stories, but is it one family, two family? Do you know what it is?
It's a one family, 2-story.
Okay.
And I believe it's a split, is it a split level?
No,
It's a full, okay.
It's 2 stories.
What was that?
2 stories. 2 stories.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm mentioning it is, if we get to a point for an approval, you've got a house right next door that's 2 stories, so it's not going to negatively impact the neighborhood.
Right.
But that doesn't address Mr. McKay's point.
No, I just want to say, I believe Mr. McKay's point is valid. We are not here to disguise anything with the application. It is what we presented. We're not trying to cover it up as a mother-in-law suite and get away with anything. The application is as we described, and I agree with Mr. McKay. We're here for the merits of this application.
I have a question. Are there any ADA requirements with this or implications with it being a new second floor? Is there anything? No? Okay. Will it be, in terms of comparison to the neighboring home, height-wise, it would be the same height, lower, higher, equivalent?
I believe it's required is 35 feet, existing is less than 35, and proposed is less than 35.
Do you know how high the neighboring house is?
The neighboring house, no.
Do you know?
But the height of this,
correct?
the height of this is 25 feet.
But that's single family.
Correct.
Is this affected by a color scheme?
Could be, we have to address that as a condition of approval, that whatever applicable color fee would apply, just if the board were to get there.
Were you intending to put your parents upstairs? Are there any concerns with means of access as we get older and more seasoned? It gets a little difficult to
As of
traverse
now,
up and down stairs.
They're not that old, so.
Okay.
Yeah, down the road, I might not even own the property anymore, so.
Is the board allowed to put a condition in terms of rentals or anything?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Counselor, with all due respect, you suggested that you would like to get an approval on what you're requesting. Do you maybe want to talk to your client and your planner and think about this?
Do you want us to go through the waiver testimony first, or do you want us to? Okay, we can talk about it. Yep, that's fine. Can we recuse ourselves for a few minutes?
Pardon me?
You want us to recuse ourselves for a few minutes? We can talk? I mean, can I take them out and talk to them?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is, we'll take a break in this
Okay.
case. We can move forward with some other business that we have
Okay,
that has nothing to do with your stuff,
okay.
and then we'll come back in again and reconvene. Is
Okay.
that the way we work it, Mr. Kingsbury?
We can do that.
Okay, then let's do that.
Okay.
Do you need an office or a room or something? Can we help them with that?
Well, we can go out in the hall if that's okay with
Okay.
you, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay with us. Thank you.
I know of another farm. I know of another farm. They don't-
Oh, but then when he said he may not own it.
Had a mother
He may not own
daughter.
it.
I'm just asking a question. You can't change their application to them.
Okay. The next order of business, the minutes from May 3rd, 2023 meeting.
It's nice that he's doing it.
Need to accept them.
Has to keep,
Oh, what's it?
throw them out in 6 months and rent one
understand.
new
Who
one.
disappeared?
But I'm just looking for the.
Oh, sorry. Well, we don't have to be here for the minutes.
That's what I was.
I just want to move it forward so we're not here till midnight.
Between what Pat.
We need a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the May.
I tried to change the application.
Your motion.
Gus.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Ms. Cosko?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Was I there for this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
And Mr. Kroll Pfeiffer?
Yes. Next, we have two resolutions, Resolution 2311 and 2312. We have to accept them separately, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve those resolutions. I can't offer any suggestions on what it's about because I wasn't here, so.
I'll make that motion.
Second. We have a second? Second. Mr. Bradley, yes. Okay, any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Cosko?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
And Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is Resolution 23-12.
Move to adopt the resolution as drafted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Cosko?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
And Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
And, Tom, you have to sign the resolutions. Oh, you did, okay. Okay, next we have correspondence. We have 6 items with the attachments. We need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Question on one letter in the motion, I guess it's
Yeah,
2 letters,
can you-
actually.
Excuse me, can you just hold your question until we get a second, and then
Sure.
we'll do a question?
Sure.
We have a second on Mr. McLaughlin's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions on the motion? Mr. McKay?
The letters from Taylor to Kathy Newcomb, August 17, August 25. What's wrong with this applicant in not being able to finish this site? Does anybody know?
I was not playing along. Which application is that? I'm sorry.
That's the, used to be called Bobcat, now called Woods Machinery site, which seems like it's 95, 98% done, but they just haven't finished the job.
So they still have their construction stuff to finish with us as well, the interior work. I'd like to limit my comment on the exterior issues at this
Yeah,
time.
that's, the letters both deal with exterior issues, so.
Correct.
I don't know, I can't see into the building, so I don't know about
Right,
that.
the inside, they still have a handful of work to do. They're not at their finals for building, electrical, plumbing, the whole 9 yards.
Well, that's a building permit issue, not a.
Correct.
planning board issue.
The final is for the exterior. Obviously, there are a lot of things that, according to Mr. Taylor's letter, that they have not completed correctly, or,
Or at all.
well, I would say incorrectly is more the 80% than not at all. But Mr. Taylor may be able to comment on that as well.
So I think our letter is self-explanatory. There are a handful of items that were required as part of their application and their approved plans that have not been satisfactorily completed for a CO that need to be addressed before they do. sort of anecdotally, I think that the owner is functioning as partly as general contractor.
Yes.
While also trying to run his own machinery business. So I think that this has not gone together as quickly as you might see a Wawa or something else where there's a focused team on there. So he will methodically need to go through there. I don't want to go into any more because a couple of these issues could end up back before the board for amended or discussion or an administrative action.
Yeah, he's not completed the trash enclosures, a few other things like that.
That's why I limited my comment.
Yeah. All right, well, I just wondered, because I see it sitting there, and then I get the letters, and now I understand why it's sitting there. But it's a shame.
They did finish up their project that they were working on at the same time, their main hub in Freehold, and that apparently just got completed. So now they're working towards getting this one completed as well.
Okay, that answers the question.
Did they get sewer over there?
No, they're on septic.
Okay, are there any other questions on
No, it's,
the motion to accept the correspondence and file it?
We have a motion and we have a second.
Hearing no other questions, roll call, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Ms. Pasco? Yes. Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
And Mr. Crawford?
Yes. Next, I don't know whether should I move forward with the professional and board and public? I can't do public comments till we get the rest of the business, right?
I think we have one public.
Yeah, I think we let them go back.
Public question.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am, no. We're going to finish this case, and then we will get to, we'll get to public comment on this case, but we'll also get to public comment on whatever your heart desires. Okay, Counselor.
Thank you, Chairman, for letting us have a little powwow, but we are going to stand by our development application and the variance plan submitted in the architectural drawings that you have in front, because we do want a two-unit up and down.
Okay, and you're finished with your testimony?
Other than the waiver, we can address that after if you want. And any questions?
Okay. I'm going to ask for our professionals' comments first. Mrs. Newcomb, do you have anything more?
No more than what I've explained.
Mr. Miller?
I don't have any comments. There was no site plan offered here, so unless you have a approval condition on the site plan.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
I do. A couple, I think I'll start with some questions maybe for Mr. DeRosa. Mr. DeRosa, in your preparation for your testimony tonight, did you do any inventory of the existing neighborhood character?
I did traverse the neighborhood. I don't particularly know every dwelling as an inventory, so I can't speak precisely to that.
All right. Did you note any other two-family dwellings or duplexes located in the immediate area?
I did not specifically see any two-family or duplex dwellings. I did note at my testimony there are other two-story dwellings. I did not go inside or inquire as to the use of those two-story dwellings.
All right, but you didn't check tax records or do any other analysis? In terms of the planning testimony that you gave, part of that was establishing the particular suitability of this site. And this doesn't have to do with the number of stories, because 2 stories are permitted. But for the use variance to allow a 2-family unit, you had talked about how this site was particularly suitable. Wouldn't those same attributes apply to any other corner lot in this entire zone? Because I think you said because we're a corner lot with 2 frontages, that makes us particularly suitable. wouldn't that particular suitability then apply to every corner lot within the zone?
Yes. My testimony was exactly that. Because we were on a corner, we were able to accommodate the separate parking, the kind of separate entrances for the upper unit, lower unit. Whereas if we were, an interior lot, the house next door, we would not be able to accommodate on this size lot or even a bigger lot, multiple parking areas. We wouldn't be able to accommodate, the multiple entrances or things like that.
So you're using the extent of your existing nonconformities as your particular suitability? The width of the existing curb cuts?
There are no curb cuts.
Driveway widths? All right. In terms of suitability, understanding that this same principle would apply to all other corner lots in the area, do you think that that would be consistent with the master plan for two-family units to be built on those other corner lots?
In so much that a two-family dwelling would give different residential options, more affordable housing, and I say not as a COA unit, but less expensive housing maybe is a better word, a variety of options.
So did you do an inventory that addressed any of the other options that are available in terms of A, affordable housing units or other smaller units in the community?
I did not.
Overarching goal number one, I think, of the 2022 master plan, and we talked about some of these, is protection and preservation of the established residential neighborhoods within the township. The ordinance specifically prohibits attached dwellings, and they don't permit two-family dwellings. Do you think that allowing these dwelling units would be consistent with the master plan if there was a continued proliferation? And how do you reconcile that with the township committee's continued omission of this permitted use within the zoning district?
Well, I don't know that I can speak to any future applications. If there's no future application, part of your question and all that, I apologize.
But I think we're talking about particular suitability that really, this lot is the exact minimum lot area. It's consistent with a majority of the lots in that area. So if we're saying that this lot, there aren't any particular attributes to this lot that you've been able to state that make it particularly suited, except there are existing non-conforming conditions, and it's a corner lot. But we didn't do an analysis, so there may be 45 of these units. And if the board says that this is particularly suitable, yes, all applications run all on those merits, but I don't know how we get to the level of saying this site, this 7,500 square foot corner lot, this one's actually particularly well suited for a two-family dwelling without that same principle applying generally to all of the others, which I think then has the potential to raise some substantial impairment to the zone plan, the zoning ordinance, by encouraging two-family residential in a single-family residential zone. Do you want to comment on that?
Well, I apologize, I don't have, anything to go into depth. I want to look into the number of corner lots that are exactly like ours, and concentrated just on our lot. And, I do not know what the impact, if there are 40 other lots, would be, as far as the zones applied to that. Again, that would be a case-by-case situation, and not knowing the other lots that are particularly exactly like ours, I can't expand upon the particular suitability of this lot.
Right, so the particular suitability then that you're stating is, it's a lot that's the same size as all the others in the zoning, and it's a corner lot, much like numerous others in the zone.
Correct.
I would defer to the board. If the board has any questions, I have a concern about the proofs established for particular suitability here. If the board has, and also the negative criteria that any proliferation or approval of this if continued could have substantial impact to the zone plan and zoning ordinance. If the board has questions, I can answer those. I don't necessarily have any other specific comments that weren't addressed.
Okay, thank you. I think it's appropriate, we'll turn it over to public comment now. And is somebody still online over here?
No.
Okay. Public comment, before I'll catch you just 1 second. Let me explain to you, it's public comment. This is not a question and answer period, and it's not a time to get into a debate with the applicant. You address your comments to the board, we'll get your answers or handle them, okay, however we can get it done. You come to the podium, speak into the microphone. You have to be sworn in by Mr. Kingsbury first, okay?
Name, please.
Yes, my name is Francis Sullivan. I live at 10 New York Avenue in Hainsport, New Jersey.
Did you say your last name is Sullivan?
Sullivan, S-U-L-L-I-V-A-N, and this is my wife, Georgia.
Georgia Sullivan.
Georgia?
Georgia, like the state. Uh-huh. And I live on New York Avenue, and I've lived on that street for 72 years.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm testimony you give tonight will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I know, yeah.
Mr. Sullivan, your house is the one that's directly behind the applicant, is that correct?
Yeah, we're slightly...
We're on the left-hand side, they're on the right-hand side.
We're across the street, slightly
Okay, all right.
diagonal.
Okay.
It's a two-story house with a white picket fence.
Okay.
Okay. No, I would encourage improvement on this property. It's would benefit the township, and anybody would, do the improvement. I have some major concerns. One is traffic and parking historically for me. Coming off of New York Avenue to the right, there's a hill, and it's difficult to see the traffic. On the left side, not this particular house this address that we're talking about, but the one next to it, the people park out there, and it's difficult to see, looking to the left, to get out New York Avenue. As a matter of fact, for years I've been practicing, I go down a couple streets, I usually go out Pennsylvania Avenue or Maryland Avenue for safety reasons, and every time my wife, she insists on going out New York Avenue, I wait and made sure she made it. I didn't hear any sirens coming. So that's a concern related to this address here. Number two, I'm not familiar with this whole process. I didn't know I could come up and review the application beforehand. But a couple alarms went off with me and, concerns. I figured, well, I'm a citizen of Hainsport since 1949, and let me see how this works. Well, I remember when it used to be Harker's General Store, and they had a gas pump out front. And if you wanted gas, you had to tell the guy, give me 5 gallons of gas and I'll pump it up, and stuff like that. Well, things have changed over the years. And the last people that lived there, well, they really neglected the house. Affordable housing, well, it was very affordable for them evidently because it went to bankruptcy sale or some kind of sale, and this person thought they want to hit the lottery with it, and they want to improve the house, they want to improve their lifestyle and stuff like that. More power to them. Just welcome to America. So parking's a problem, I see. Number two, to make it a two-residence house, I'm shaking my head no. I don't know how you feel about it. I have nothing against renters. I think renters are fine people. As a matter of fact, me and my wife, we probably rented 3 or 4 houses in Hainesport in our time before she passed away at 92 years old. So that's all a good thing. Family should take care of family. Once they bring his parents in and things like that, I applaud him for that. I think we're looking at the wrong address for the use that I understand has been proposed. This is why I'm here, okay? I don't know how the system works, but I just wanted to express myself because it's a two-family unit, because of parking, you know, going up on the house, I went up on my house. My house, gee, we did a lot of work on our house over the years, so, you know, somebody's got the fortitude and somebody's got the desire. We've only been married for 54 years, so we're still working at it. So I had my mouth full. I've said as much as I can. But personally, for myself, if I have a vote or have any weight or anything like that, I'm against this proposal. I just don't see it being good for the person that owns it or good for the community at large, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you. To answer your last question, you don't have a vote, but you do have an opportunity to express an opinion to us, which helps us make decisions.
That's what America's all about, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you for your comments.
My concern is basically the parking, especially right on Martin Highway, because we cannot see to pull out, and it's very busy. New York Avenue itself is very busy. The lot for the property, I think, is kind of too small for a two-family residence. So that's basically all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Have any other public comment? Ma'am, I don't mean to... General. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Hearing no other public comments, I'll close the comments and ask the board if they have any other questions of the applicant, or our professionals, of course, can intercede anytime. Okay, we are at a point where the board has to make a decision, and for the benefit of some of the folks that are in the audience, let me just explain something, a little bit of civics, okay? We have to make a positive motion, okay? You can't make a negative motion, but because we make a positive motion, the board is free to vote no or on it if that's the gist and the direction they want to go on, based upon the testimony, based upon the comments from public, and our knowledge and experience in doing what we're doing tonight. So I will then ask the board, what is your pleasure?
Well, I'm going to make a comment, if I may. In an effort to understand the applicant's testimony about bringing his family in and comparing things that I know have happened in my tenure as a resident in Hainesport, I was asking some questions. I did not mean to alter or attempt to alter the applicant's application. It was just gaining an understanding of what, when he testified that his family was going to be in there. It was just me trying to understand these applications, and everybody knows me. I'm not shy. I'm going to ask the questions, so I understand. So that being said, I'm going to. I don't. You say it's got to be a positive motion. Give us an example.
I don't.
Yes.
Of a motion.
I don't understand.
Let me explain. I checked this out on one other application we had, which will remain anonymous. And that was the consensus from the legal folks that I inquired about motions. You can't, and this has to do with anything, we can't make a motion to decline the applicant's request. You make a motion to approve it, it's seconded, and then when it's voted upon, the person that makes the motion and the person who seconds it can say no.
But that
The idea, the first part, is to put the motion on the table. The voting has to do with the disposition of it. And I'll maybe put Mr. Kingsbury on the spot. Did I explain that properly?
That, I don't think that's a legal requirement, but it certainly has been the recommended method of handling those.
Yeah, that's what okay.
So that means the person making the motion, if they were to grant an approval, is agreeing with the application.
No. The purpose of the motion where we're at now is to put this on the table for the board to then vote upon. And the voting is different than putting the motion. You know, whenever we call for a motion.
Give me an example of what a motion might be.
I make a motion to grant are we going to do the use variance first?
Yes.
Is that how we're supposed to, okay.
Yep.
You can make a motion and then vote no on your own motion.
Yeah.
There's nothing illegal about that.
Okay, you're making a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the applicant's use variance.
Okay, and I'm going to second that motion. Okay? Now, all Mrs. Costco and I have done is put the motion on the table for the board to act upon, and I always ask after a motion and a second, I say, are there any questions on the motion? Are there? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Been seconded?
It was, I seconded it.
Ms. Costco?
No.
Mr. Krollpfeifer?
No.
Mr. McKay?
No.
Mrs. Kelly?
No, and I'm just saying no because of the things that are pending with, like sewer and water.
Mr. Bradley?
No, simply because I don't think they presented the information to us for us to make a really good decision. Looking at that stuff over there wasn't of any use to me. So until they come back with better documentation, I'm going to have to vote no.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Mr. McLaughlin?
No.
Okay, the fact that the use variance has been denied, Counselor, we don't have to go into any other bulk variances requested.
To avoid the applicant having to come back, we at least get a vote on the bulk variances, and we can provide some testimony regarding the bulk variances.
The bulk variances are moved.
Can't build.
What you want to have that, the bulk variances are filled out.
Yeah.
But they're still related to the existing property. If he were to just keep it as a single-family home and develop it, yeah.
Property doesn't change. You don't need any variances for what's there.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
If the applicant still would like to do the first floor building addition in the back, that is going to have a front yard setback because it's off of New York Avenue, less than what's required. That was one of the bulk variances. It's a extension of an existing nonconformity. So rather than come back for that, if he chooses to do that, could you vote on that, or is that not the application?
Can't go on something that's not before the board.
Okay, well,
I don't understand.
that was the question.
The bulk variances, nothing has changed. If you want to build an addition, then you have to come back to the bulk variance. So right now, you don't have approval for what you asked for, so therefore, the bulk variances are irrelevant. Nothing's changed. Thank you for clarification.
Counselor, answer your question? No.
Yes, that answers my
No.
question.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
your candor. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now, we're going to go on to item 10 on our agenda, professional comments. Do we have any?
I have a quick professional comment. The Beacon of Hope matter is being assigned to an attorney at Madden. And at this point, nothing has happened. He's going to file an answer if we're not collecting. So I'll probably have a more detailed report maybe around November.
If I could just add to that, the October 1st date is important because originally we were to respond within 21 days by August 31st, and it's now October 1st.
The answer's not due until October.
Yeah. Okay, any other professional comments?
Happy fall, this beautiful crisp weather.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, any board comments? This, do you want this one? Okay.
I got a comment, again, being around a long time. It seems these last couple applications are coming in a little complete. We have these folks come in, they have plans that we don't see. They put them up on the board. We got the last guy, didn't know where he was putting his fence. We had the lady last month, didn't know where her property started and ended. It's getting a little crazy around here with the, and I think I'm here, I'll stay all night, but it just seems like we're wasting a lot of the board's time trying to get some details out of, and exhibits, if you will. And I just hope we can, because I don't mind staying. I love everybody, but it just seems like we're kind of.
Identify those things, hey, shows this, tells this, with a lot of, applications.
Yeah.
Where is the dumpster?
Yeah, so they don't, I hear you.
So who deems an application complete?
Well,
Is there,
Right, but there are checklist items for it to be deemed complete. Not showing where the dumpster is would not be, and we don't really have a use variance.
Got it.
Application checklist requirement. So, little things like not showing the dumpster wouldn't be a reason to deem an application incomplete.
okay.
If they didn't submit any plan, then that could be. The one thing that some boards do, if there are several things that are open-ended internally that are going to get issued and resolved, then the answer is, give us these 4 items, come back and we'll discuss them and have a well-versed, we asked for it, Marty asked for these certain things. We think the board is entitled to see them, but we're not going to sit here and guess what the siding color, what the building may or may not look like.
Yeah,
Well, one thing you could do is put in a requirement on the completeness list to have them pre-mark their exhibits. So we have the exhibits in advance, so no one can pull out a floor plan at the last moment, which nobody's ever seen, and hand it out and ask us to start reading it.
Well, you can come across an issue with that, because if the engineer or planner are discussing things with the applicant, and the packets have already gone out, and it's 3 days before a meeting, and things had changed, and now the applicant's going to bring that change that they discussed with the professional staff.
Good, it's a good note. It's perfectly.
It just seems like a lot of information. The last 3 cases have been conveniently missing from the application. That's all I'm noticing.
Well, our professionals are clearly delineating that in their review letters.
Yeah.
But the applicants are still coming before the board without satisfying all of those, and I think they should be addressed.
Maybe we could, in addition, maybe we could address this during the pre-agenda meeting that we have, that we have to know by then because everything's supposed to be in 30 days in advance.
That's correct, but the professional staff doesn't always have the opportunity before that meeting to look over the application and come up with a letter to state what the deficiencies are
Okay.
and stuff they need. So, I mean, it's like a twofold. You just don't know which.
No, it's been a great process. Thank God you were out there and you saw that, that they're doing dumpsters and all that. And I guess, that you were addressing that anyway, right?
We didn't address that
We talked about that last month.
I know. No, I know, but
We put it in our report again. I talked to their engineer about it 2 weeks ago. Clarify the trash and the dumpster issue. And it was as if we never mentioned it.
yeah. Well,
So I think with that, the board just needs, if they can't get crystal clear on an issue, tell them, regroup, get us answers, come back with your application. You guys are volunteers.
Right.
We're at least getting paid. You guys are volunteers. You're entitled to have a crystal clear picture of what you're approving. That's your legacy as a board.
Well, and then the other issue is that,
At that point,
yeah.
we have applications come in, final applications, with the idea that they can get conditions on final. I ask them, what part of final don't you understand?
well, we're very generous with conditions.
Well, we are, but at the same time, we have applicants who are expressing frustration that they're not being heard in a timely fashion, yet at the same time, they're submitting applications that generally aren't complete, and they're not meeting the comments that the board, our professionals are making in their review letters. So it's an interesting dilemma. It's a bit of a conundrum that we deal with often with our applicants.
So Bruce, the end line to this is, you got to grin and bear it.
Oh, no, I'm cool with it, but, I mean, and listen, I expect everybody's, especially you and H, and everybody, and our professionals, all of our attention, Kathy, thank God, shows up here, and we catch a lot of this stuff,
Oh, that's you pay me big pennies for.
That's right. But I just made a comment that I noticed. It seems like it's happening a little more. That's the only comment. So, but I think this is a great board, and I think we do great work.
Okay,
I agree.
good.
You have to do.
We're still on board
General
comment.
Public comment?
Yeah, I'm going to do board comment, me. I want to thank all of you for the beautiful card that I know Paula Tiver took time to get and get everybody to sign when I was ailing. And for benefit, I had a very bad fall at home. I spent 8 days in the wonderful Virtua Memorial Hospital, and then I was in a rehab facility for a month. Not to be confused with drug and alcohol. It had to do with a fall. Okay? I mean, I was so...
Were you drinking before the fall?
No. As a matter of fact, it was the morning. I had just finished washing up, shaving, dressing for the day, and I fell in the master bathroom. Fortunately, I missed the granite countertop, but I caught a cabinet down below in my neck. But it was a long haul. I'm still in physical therapy. They come to the house 2 and 3 times a week. But I'm getting better, thanks to my beautiful wife's health back there. So, but,
Good to have you.
thanks, thank you. So now, we'll open this to public comment. Ma'am? Or 2 ma'ams, sorry.
You win the Patience Award.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth it when you hear why we're here. So, hi, I'm Lisa Wallison. I've been on Phillips Road for 42 years.
I'm Nancy Finley. I live on 47 Phillips Road. I've been there for almost 26 years.
So we're here because this is the beginning of, I guess, you may or may not be aware, a church purchased land at 23 Phillips Road. They purchased it a year ago. Hello again. Yes, absolutely.
At this point, they're not moving forward with it, just to let you know.
Oh,
And I have that verbally from the pastor himself.
really?
It's not to say that it's going to never be done.
Oh, Kathy, that's great news. And thank you for your patience when I showed up. 1 year ago, almost this week, and she calmed me down. So the point is that what happens now, though? I mean, they're just going to turn it into walking paths, or is it the wetlands, or you can't tell me and I should shut up?
At this point, we don't know.
Yeah.
The fact is
Because the
nothing-
survey isn't completed yet.
has come
Yeah.
forward. There's nothing that has come to any fruition for us to even say it's a walking path.
Yeah.
It's a piece of property that sits, as you see.
Okay. So I guess when we got the notification for the surveying, that kind of triggered all the alarms again. And based on what they're saying, there'd be road issues, the traffic, the number of parishioners, everything they wanted to do. So for all of you, in 1999 roughly, I mean, I was carrying my child, he couldn't walk, so that's how I can do the timing. Tangent Builders, no longer around, they tried to, or came here to consider purchasing the land, and they tried to put 5 houses on these acreage. And that fell through for many reasons. So, for all of our residents, the town has changed dramatically, our road has changed dramatically. Nancy's a big walker, you can't walk out there now, but with that kind of traffic and that church, it isn't about the church, it's about what they want to build and how big it is. And that was the big concern. It would be a big, big parking lot in basically our backyards, it would be a lot of things. So we'll be back if it moves forward, but all the other residents are willing to come as well.
How would we know? Like, what
So
do we?
you will get a notification if you're within 200 feet of that
Yeah.
property. But again, we all know how the public speaks to each other.
Mhm.
So even if you weren't in 200 feet, I'm sure the person
That's
that's
how I-
within 200
Yeah.
feet are going to tell the rest of
Oh,
the
yes, yes.
So, but at this time, and it is a fact that Jeff, the pastor, as we see on this letter, came to my office specifically to state that. So until we get an application, or I hear anything, or I have a meeting, at this point, we're still looking at some nice piece of ground.
Okay, great. All right, well then,
Nancy, do you know does the church own the property?
they own it.
So they were-
They purchased
We
it
got
June of
letters in our
2022.
mailbox,
Right.
come to the grand
Yeah.
opening of what, and
Their dedication.
I don't know if it was
their
one of those,
dedication ceremony, and we'll talk about plans. That was like, what? Like,
so they own it
So
now,
they
they're not going to go
bought
through
the
with it.
gentleman who was going to put a house there.
Yeah, and there was no complaint about that. It's, the number of parishioners, mass twice, 2 masses every Sunday morning. And when they did the dedication that Nancy's referring to, the road was blocked for, crazy blocked. And of course, they brought a bulldozer in and they were plowing to set up this dedication. So there was a lot of stuff going on, and it's been very quiet. But in July, when we got notification of the survey, we thought it was picking up again.
I don't believe there's any utilities out there, like a sewer or...
Well, so there was a house back there for years and years and years. It was demolished by the city because of sewerage. Well, we don't have sewerage out there, but some kind of septic situation. And that was demolished, oh my God.
That's
Probably
right.
30 plus years.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. And the property itself started at $1 million something when Tangent was thinking about it in the late 90s. And then it's just been dormant. He bought it, and he had a reasonable plan. He was on the opposite side of our property because the bulk of the good land, Bilderbrook was out front, so. But anyway, great news.
So you'll get a letter and.
Oh, yeah, I'll get it.
Well, if you want, we don't mind every other month, if one of you come here and ask the question, and Mrs. Newcomb will answer it for you.
Take me to the sideboard, I'll let you know.
I'll come and see you. And thank you. She did really do a great job. Everyone's been giving her compliments, but she's that buffer that crazy people show up and she calms down.
We mean that in the nicest
To be
way.
Thank
fair,
you
every
for
one
your
of our
comments.
employees is that
I do
buffer.
have one other comment on Phillips
Oh,
Road,
yeah,
too.
do yours.
So I was
Kathy's
here
not the only
before in
buffer.
reference to the chemical spraying to keep the weeds down, and nobody has sprayed since. So I don't know if anything happened since then, but it's.
Well, we've had conversations, but
It's the Three Amigos. They took care of it.
there's other amigos, believe me. They're just not here.
And I've been fortunate and blessed to be complimented by the public. But I have to remind the public as well, is that this whole group There's not one of us that could do our job properly if we didn't depend upon each other. And that goes from my administrator, Ms. Casco, to my board secretary, Paula Tiber, to our chairman, our volunteers, as
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor stated, as well as our professionals. This is a team effort. This is not an I or a me. Because we put work, not an individual. And unfortunately, most of the public doesn't always realize is that, yes, you may come to me or Paula or any of these folks, but we each then feed out to each other. So on record is that we all deserve compliments.
Yes, you all do. Yes.
Yep, so thank you.
And we got to see that tonight, actually.
Thank you.
I think more people should come,
So
spend the
was there
time and see
anything
it.
with the spraying, or is this that it's just, you don't know with them spraying chemicals?
No, I haven't really had that conversation.
Yeah, because
since-
nobody,
since-
I know Mr. Klaus had said he was going to stop around and see. I can say there's another big hole on the other side of the road, but they haven't been around. So I'm happy there's no chemicals being sprayed. It's, okay. All right,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, ladies, for your comment. Any other public comment? No public comment? Well, thank you all for attending, and it's now at that, what's that?
Motion to
Make a
adjourn?
motion to
Yes,
adjourn?
there you go.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to do. Need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
That it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, folks. Wow. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back. I'll know in a couple of minutes if it was a good move, me coming back, because my wife's been against it. She said, "You are not walking good."
Bad idea.